Yay! Hi, everyone! Welcome to Nature Chat. Check. It's Nature Check, not Nature Chat. This is the show where you come for the game and stay for the science. First, as always, we do some introductions. My name is Sheryl, and I'm starting my PhD. It's my very first semester. I like to focus on restoration, ecology, and land management, and I love dung beetles. When I'm not doing research, I make videos about biology and ecology over on the Roving Naturalist on YouTube. I'm also the GM for this game, and I'm going to let all of the players introduce themselves now, starting in the upper left-hand corner of my screen with Joe.
Hi, I'm Joe. I am a doctoral student at the University of Wyoming, and I am studying the physiology of weed damage because a lot of the details about how weeds damage crops has been either under-investigated or misunderstood, and it's actually kind of a wild time in the weed science area. Not that kind of weed.
Alrighty. And you will be playing who?
Lucanus. I'm the barbarian of the group.
Yar.
Yar. Yes, you are.
Next in line, Nancy.
Hi, everybody. My name is Nancy, and I'm an entomologist, which means that I study bugs, and I live in Quito, Ecuador, where I conduct my own personalized tours of Ecuador focused on insects.
And you are?
All right. I play Kay. She's a, what are they called in this game? Ranger? The bow and arrow, pew pew.
You're a rogue.
Pew
Oh yeah,
pew pew.
In the game that I am a player in the other night, my friend was talking to an NPC and she was like, "And finger guns," and I was like, "Except that it's D&D, so are they finger crossbows and you have to hold them sideways?" All right.
Sorry.
And in the top right of my screen is Peter.
My name's Peter. I'm an agriculture agent in Maryland, so I teach farmers and the public about agriculture. My background is entomology, so most of my teaching focuses on agricultural pests and beneficial insects. And when I'm not doing that, I do a lot of photography of insects, kind of a one-track person, and I'm going to be playing Cedric.
Awesome. And last but certainly not least, Ryan.
Hi, I'm Ryan. I live in Pittsburgh, and I am an associate director of integrated pest management. So that means I'm an entomologist who focuses on minimizing the impacts of pest insects and really all kinds of plant pests in the context of a public garden and conservatory. I also recently been starting to do integrated pest management consulting. So if anybody has public gardens or any of that sort of thing where they need advice, help, suggestions, I do that as well. And besides that, I teach about entomology and landscapes, and I do a lot of landscaping myself. Just dug out a ton of gross things from my backyard of my new house today, so getting going on that. And I play Fletcher Sampson, a wizard who is currently still level 1, so kind of useless. But that'll change. Everything turns around for wizards later on.
It's really true. Some character classes stay sort of, not stagnant, but like they advance at a sort of a reasonable level, and wizards go from being incredibly fragile to being super, super awesome later on. So,
Yeah.
As I told some other people last week, I have storyline for this campaign all the way from level 1 to level 20, so if y'all get there, Fletcher will be just a weaponized human being. It'll be great. Alrighty. If you are watching us right now live on Twitch or Periscope, first of all, thanks for being here. We really appreciate you being here, and we hope that you'll enjoy what you're going to see and hear this evening. Secondly, if you have any questions for the cast, please put them in the chat on Twitch or Periscope. I have my laptop over here beside me, so I'm going to try to do my best to catch your questions during the game, and we'll try to answer them as they come up or when we take our halfway break or something like that. So feel free to put them in the chat, or if you are watching or listening to us later on, you can always tweet questions at us. Speaking of Twitter, the last bit of housekeeping we have is the socials. You can find Nature Check on Twitter at @CheckNature. So please follow us there for updates on our game schedule and other things. And please subscribe to Nature Check both on Twitch and on YouTube. All of those subscriptions and follows and whatever are really helpful in terms of allowing our project to grow and reach more people. Every game session will be uploaded to the YouTube channel, and you'll also be able to find our after-show recaps, our nature chats, both on the YouTube channel and on the podcast. So we have both Nature Check and Nature Chat available in podcast form on Podbean, Google Play, iTunes / Apple Podcasts, whatever, Spotify, and I just made sure we were on Stitcher this week. So we are in all of the podcast places. So please watch us, listen to us, and share us with your friends and family, and maybe even your enemies. They might like it too. Does anybody else have any projects they'd like to plug?
Not at the moment.
Not
Nope.
at the moment. Okay. Did everybody have an awesome full moon Friday the 13th yesterday? 'Cause it was great.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Very much so, yeah.
Okay, well, in that case, I'm checking my internet because my laptop is, for some reason, being very unhappy right now and telling me that I'm not
Oh no.
online. I want to make sure that we are still streaming because,
I'll check.
come on. I don't know, my laptop's having, like, weird internet problems. I think we're probably still fine. I hope we're probably still fine. Why do you have to be like this, laptop?
I just subscribed to us on Stitcher.
Hey, thanks!
Yeah.
Every
All right.
subscription
It says-
helps. It says we're good? It says we're
Yep,
online?
it looks like we're
Good
still
try.
online.
We're still
No, it's back.
It's back.
Yeah, it went to trying to reconnect, and now it's back.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
there we are. Okay, so we did all the things to get ready, and now here we go. Civilizations grew, flourished, and fell on the continents of Lacedes for hundreds of years. But in the year 885, everything changed. Where once the gods of the pantheon held sway over various continents and made their presence known in frequent and tangible ways to mortals, now a dread silence and emptiness reigned. Civilizations fell into internal turmoil, and tensions mounted between empires. The faiths of nations were shaken, and new versions of old religions began to sprout. Spells once commonplace and relied upon, those that required the gods' particular attentions, no longer functioned. Access to and contact with all other planes disappeared or seemed blocked. The continent of Arda, still colloquially known as the God's Garden, was once the sacred and protected realm of Obed-Hai and Elana. At the moment of the loss, the strong protective spells surrounding the continent fell, and the shores and interior became accessible to any who wished entry on whatever business. In 952, a ship from the Tenebrian Navy took shelter in the large river mouth at the southeastern corner of Arda, and the sailors erected a small fort for protection. Over the years, the fort grew into a town, and the town grew into a small city. While Tenebria officially holds no claim over Arda, no outside nation has yet claimed dominion over the continent, New Seychester is, for all intents and purposes, a Tenebrian colony. Now it is midday on Hextum, the 24th day of Mistrun in the year 972. Kay, Cedric, Fletcher. Last time, you all were investigating a mystery. There was a lot of really amazing role-playing that was, unfortunately, all lost because my computer was not broadcasting the sound from our session. So instead of me providing a recap today, I would like the three of you to catch up Lucanus and anyone else who might be listening beyond the fourth wall as to what has happened so far and where you are now.
So right now, just to clarify, right now we are outside of the Hudson Green's house. We're just met back up with Lucanus, right? I'm just making
Correct.
sure.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah, so we just came out. Kay was doing really most of the questioning of the Green family, trying to find out why they're not defending her brother Jay, who is currently in jail for apparently committing a murder, but probably not. So
Definitely not.
But I meant definitely not. And we're trying to figure out why can't they talk about it? Why is he being framed? Who's framing him? Who's doing all of this? And so Kay is about to head off to go speak with other people she knows in town who may know more, while Cedric, you and I are about to head back to the Rum's Luck to see if we can find out anything about the shadowy cabal that seems to be controlling the merchants, including Hudson Green in the town.
Yeah, Lucanus, I think it'd be a great idea if you'd go with Kay. Since her family seems to be kind of caught up in this, this kind of human drama, perhaps you should accompany her just to act as protection or...
and look scary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Giving Kay a bodyguard right now makes total sense. So I'll go with Kay, and if you guys want to check out the Rum's Luck, I agree. I think that's the best course of action.
Yeah, I mean, I've already got a really good cover story established at the Rum's Luck. I've been Kay and I went there the other day dressed as ruffians, and I think I fit right in there with the kind of salty sea folk that frequent that bar. So I think I'll have no trouble getting Fletcher in with the in crowd. So I think that'll be probably the best way for us to gather more information about this kind of blackmail, threatening, political nonsense that seems to be going on in this.
Just saying, by dressed up, he means untucked his shirt. Yeah.
Yeah,
Lucanus,
of course.
Lucanus
Ruffians don't tuck in their shirts.
Lucanus looks down at the huge blood stain still covering Cedric's shirt. I can see how you'd fit in with those ruffians.
Yeah. Also, for the record, I untidied my beard. Did you notice that too?
No, I was too distracted by the giant blood stain on your otherwise white shirt.
Well, it's really hard to get out. This is something that they'll tell you about when they give you these white shirts. It's like
you could buy a new one.
You think that would be wasteful, but I feel like why don't we learn any of these practical skills in preschool? You would think that keeping your tabard clean would be one of those skills that they would teach you, but no, it's all holy rites and the weights of different metals and things like that.
It must be hard when you literally grow up underneath a rock.
Yeah, exactly.
I kind of figured that they'd teach missionaries how to get blood out of their shirt. It makes total sense.
Well, I don't think they expected missionaries to encounter any kind of violence or anything like that. I mean, who would try and hurt a holy person?
Indeed.
Indeed.
I have to admit, this town is not at all what I expected.
What were you expecting exactly?
I don't know. I just
why do you always insult my town?
Why is your town so horrible?
Very carefully,
My town is not horrible.
Your brother's being framed for murder.
It is not a common occurrence.
I mean,
it's only, but I have a very limited experience with your town. My brothers have never been framed for murder.
Congratulations! We're all so proud of you.
I'm just saying, maybe if more of you followed the teachings of Moradin, this kind of thing wouldn't happen to you.
Wow. I really appreciate your sensitivity during this difficult and trying time.
I'm just saying, the trials that Moradin places before us forge us into the beings we were meant to be. We'll see you later. Bye.
Oh boy.
I hook my quarterstaff around his arm on a vaudeville stage and start walking the opposite direction from Kay.
Like on a vaudeville stage.
Oh, actually, I think we need to be going this way to go to the Rum's Luck.
I go that way while still dragging him. I'm just like, Cedric, Like, come on. You've got to stop egging Kay on like this.
I am just trying to educate the young woman.
Did you ever think that she has all the education she needs where she lives and you're just talking down to her all the time?
I don't understand. She's taller than me. What do you mean?
I just keep walking.
Oh man, we're getting real right off the bat, huh? Ooh, okay, so which team wants to go first?
I don't know,
Kay has a
Mr.
good idea of where
Mouthy.
she's going, so
All right, fine. We're just going to the docks. We're trying to find my friend Azzy because like he listens to everything in the town, so he might know who has been like, I'm assuming paid to be a witness and tell everyone that they saw my brother like murdering someone, but it's complete BS. So we need to figure out who this kid is and how much he's getting paid, or if he is being paid, and like what we can do to make him, I don't know, shut up.
Okay. So you are at the docks looking for Azzy.
Yeah.
Okay. Give me I'll just do a search check.
Awesome. My dice are over there because I can never be prepared. Burp, 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 burp. So useless.
If only you had Mage Hand.
Yeah.
I got a 15.
You got a
I
15.
forgot mine.
Fortunately, I
too.
knew where they were this time.
Yeah.
So, you know, I only kind of sucked. All right, search check. Let me get the dice.
Oh no, car alarm.
Sorry. I live in this city.
Oh no, I'm not sure it was yours. Was it yours or was it because Ryan
I
just
think it's
ran
mine.
away. Okay. I don't know
Oh.
what's going on.
Maybe you can hear both of them. Maybe
I
there's two
don't
car
know.
alarms.
Oh, it's singing a duet for us.
The thing is, also in Ecuador, a random side note is that Ecuadorians like to let their car alarms run because then it tells thieves that they have a car alarm, and so they'll just like it'll probably just last forever. Sorry, and the window's closed,
That
so
is
there's
a
nothing.
solid strategy.
Right? It's like I've got a car alarm. You can hear it.
Uh-huh.
All right. Anyways, search. It's dumb. All right. I got an 18 plus 6, whatever that is. 'cause
Wow.
math is hard.
24? That's a lot.
24.
You have a high search.
I like search really
Yeah,
hard.
you searched really hard. Okay. So you have 15 and a 24. So you guys search all over the docks, and you don't find Azzy. He doesn't appear to be there. However, there are lots of people there. So I don't know if you would like to accompany those search checks by like a gather information check, and you could maybe hear the local gossip. As you're walking around, you might be eavesdropping on people's conversations, or you might even go so far as to start asking questions to see if anybody knows anything.
Okay. I got a 17 and
Gather
that's a
info?
2. That's a 2 modifier.
Okay, so a 19 for Lucanus.
19.
I'm apparently too focused trying to find Azzy because I got a solid 12.
A solid 12. Well, so you had a high search check, so you're covering a lot of ground. So I'll sort of give both of you some things that you hear. So there definitely are some people talking about the murder because every town, no matter its size, likes a scandal, right? So the murder is definitely a thing that happened. So you hear, and/or I'm sort of recapping some details you might have already known too, from what Jay told you. But a clerk who serves the chief magistrate in New Seychester, the man's name was Timothy Prendergast, was discovered dead in an alleyway between the Ecstasy Theater and the site where the Royal Academy building is being built, in the entertainment district not too long ago. So Timothy Prendergast discovered dead, alley in the entertainment district. There is a witness who was able to provide the town guard with some details about a person who was seen in that area, and so the guard have apparently made an arrest. But apparently the Prendergast was not simply killed. Apparently the body was a little grisly to look at. Yeah, so you do hear some of those details. So there is a witness, you know where the body was found. You might also, yes, so it was a few nights ago in the entertainment district at night. So the body was discovered sort of later in the evening, but the estimate is that the timing was during or just after a concert at the Ecstasy Theater where Caitlin Dewfoot was singing, and she was being accompanied by Jay Prowell on the piano.
And then, yeah.
Yep.
Pause.
Mm-hmm.
Concert.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you know one of those names.
I do know one of those names.
Yep.
So, all right. Maybe we should go find. All right. So, Lucanus, I don't know. As he's not here, did you find anything else that was kind of useful?
Which of those names did you know?
Prowell, because that's my name.
Prowell. Okay. Let's see. Who was singing at the theater that night?
I just scribbled her name down. I didn't actually scribble it down.
Caitlin Dewfoot.
Caitlin
Dewfoot.
Caitlin Dewfoot.
I definitely don't know her. But I do know
The pianist.
the pianist. So maybe we should go, find him.
Yeah,
Him?
let's go find the pianist.
B is a her.
Right.
Oh,
Yes.
right.
Sorry.
That's one of your older, or your only older sister? I don't remember.
My
how many
only older
siblings
sister.
You have so many sisters.
There's so many of them. Them. We found them.
We found them. There we go.
I was just pulling up the document. Sorry.
That's okay.
It's literally a book.
That's all right. It really is.
All right. It literally is. Well, do you think that maybe we should go find her? I mean, she usually hangs out at the theater.
Yeah.
She plays there.
Let's go find your sister. It's the best lead we got.
It's the only lead we've got, so yeah.
What's your
Is that
sister?
a landline?
I'm having so many struggles right now.
It's fine.
Who called? I don't even give that number out, so it's definitely a wrong number.
Oh, robocalls.
I don't get robocalls in Ecuador. That's the good thing about Ecuador. So it's literally a human that has dialed the wrong number.
Oh.
Yet another reason to
What a
move to
magical
Ecuador.
place. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I know the bugs were cool, but dang.
I know, right? It's magical because there are no robocalls, but also because there are landline phones.
It came with the apartment. I don't pay for it. I can use it when I want to. But yes.
Do you use it?
Sometimes if I'm doing tour stuff and I have to call hotels and stuff, because anything in Quito is local, and then you definitely don't have to pay for it.
Oh, man.
So it doesn't use up cell phone minutes or anything.
Okay.
So yes.
Well,
actually.
let's go find your sister and see if she, saw or heard anything. Because
Yeah, and if she was there and she knows Jay is being why didn't she say? Why is she quiet?
well, she might not know that she knows anything.
But she knows that it's our brother who's in jail. So whatever. We're gonna have a chat, a very friendly chat. Definitely that.
With me in the background.
Yes,
Guy
probably.
with the great sword.
Yep, very friendly with backup.
You'll just stand with your arms crossed, just glowering. I feel like that's your primary responsibility.
Well, the robe and the hood with, just kind of the black face, I'll just look like
He looks
death.
like an Assassin's Creed character.
Yeah. I didn't quite think of it that way, but yeah, that's exactly what I look like.
Yeah. All right, so let's cut from Kay and Lucanus over to Cedric and his minder Fletcher. What are you two doing?
We're walking down the street, and as we like make our way down the street, I assume towards the Rum's Luck.
It's the Lux Rum.
Can we change it? The Lux Rum.
You just moved to this town. You don't get to tell me how the things are called.
I mean, it's Cedric. He's gonna do that regardless.
Cedric hates our town anyway, so it's like, whatever. He can call it whatever he wants, because he's wrong about everything else anyway.
Yeah, you and all 300 NPCs are upset about it.
So, Fletcher, you're a man of studying the world. Is that right?
Yes. I mean, I attended the academy.
Can I ask you a question?
I mean, that was a question, but sure.
Okay. Well, I noticed earlier when we were talking with Kay's brother, and I don't know if this is like a sensitive subject for humans, but did you notice that he tended to have his skin seemed to have kind of a reptilian pattern on it? You know, like scales. Did you notice that? Is that normal for humans?
I mean, he definitely appeared to have some kind of reptilian or draconic characteristics. I would assume that speaks to some kind of non-human ancestry at some point. So whether or not that's present in Kay's whole family, or perhaps just him, perhaps he's a half-brother or something, I don't know. Kay seems to think of him as her brother, so I guess that's all that matters.
Yeah. I just didn't know how how human families and worked, so I just thought I'd ask.
Last episode, he figures out vegetables. This episode, he figures out Mendelian genetics.
Well, I'm just kind of over here wondering what human blinked a dragon.
That's literally how Dragonborns.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a lot more. It's a lot more common than you might think in this world. For anybody not familiar with the idea of half dragons in D&D, so a lot of the metallic dragons, especially bronze and copper, they like to transform their shape so that they appear as a human and as someone else and wander among the other races of the world for funsies. So yeah, you can get half dragons.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense than what I was thinking, which was something to the effect of, "Hey, sexy wyvern."
Could also happen.
Gives a whole new meaning to getting some tail.
Yeah.
Finger crossbows.
Cedric immediately disintegrates and can't handle life anymore.
Cedric's whole world has been PG before this.
Yeah.
I assume her family probably knows and talks about it, but humans, I suppose we can tend to be a little more sensitive if an outsider sort of bluntly addresses something. There's a lot of cruelty in the world, and they may be used to people not taking a liking, perhaps, to that part of their family history, perhaps. So I'd say, given your history of addressing things with Kay, probably don't be the one to bring it up.
Okay, yeah, that's good. That's really good advice. Thank you. I really appreciate that.
You're quite welcome. You're quite welcome. Any advice I can give.
Yeah,
you just let me know, preferably when we're not around Kay.
Okay, that sounds good. I appreciate you being my guide in this bizarre world of humans.
I suppose it's probably more like a trainer, but guide works, I guess.
Oh, trainer. Does that mean we need a montage?
I suppose I'm the Ash Ketchum to your Pikachu.
If only there was this ball you could put him inside when he started talking too much.
Where it just silences him and compacts him into a carryable sphere.
The final episode, there's just all the advice that Fletcher's ever given Cedric, and like,
oh, we could do a Dear Fletcher column.
oh yeah.
Eventually, Cedric starts glowing and evolves into an actually full-size human.
Oh. Aww.
I like to imagine he's just a dwarf, but with a bigger beard.
Just drags on the ground.
Beard acts like a shield.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, I guess my turn to ask you a question, Cedric. This establishment we're going to,
Oh yeah.
we should probably have some sort of plan.
Well, last time I ordered a beverage, which wounded me greatly. So I recommend sticking to the small beers, especially with your weaker human constitution.
Yeah, I'm definitely not very accustomed to drinking much. Is this the kind of establishment where if we went in perhaps acting like we were already slightly inebriated, would that perhaps get people to... Is this a sort of establishment where that would make people like us more? If we showed up and then began buying people drinks to get people to drink, but we ourselves are still quite aware of what we're doing?
Oh, a ruse. I think that's a brilliant idea. I think that would work well. The people in there seem to be drinking a lot, so certainly people who are drinking would like their drinks to be free, I would assume.
And if we act already drunk, it's like we're one of them.
Ah, that's smart. It is rather early in the day still. Do you think anyone would believe that people were already drunk at 2 p.m?
Probably.
All right, well, you're the trainer.
Oh boy.
Alcohol is super effective.
But I should warn you, the people in this bar are a little rough around the edges. But don't worry, I've got your back. So
I feel so much better.
Good.
I'm dead.
So dead.
All right. Are we there? Are we there yet?
Boy, I hope so.
Fletcher kind of... I think because I'm back in like a full length sort of robe that makes me look a little out of place. I try to tie up in spots that I can to make it look more like everyday clothing, like I'm, I don't know, a dock worker or something.
Doing that thing like cheerleaders do where they like bag up their t-shirt and put a hair tie around it so it makes
like tie it, do like
cheerleaders in the 90s.
Make sure your belly button shows.
I'm gonna cut it all along the edges and tie it into fringes.
Yeah.
But just so I don't want to like. I imagine if we're at the docks and this is sort of a working man's environment. I don't want to look super out of place.
Give me a disguise check.
Let's see.
I bet you're great at that. It's a charisma-based skill.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's why this could just end up, like, I'll look like one of those cheerleaders with, like, a tied up.
I mean, that's sort of what happened to Kay and Cedric last time they went in there, so.
Where's disguise?
Yeah, you were like, are you trying hard? And we were like, no. Yeah. We're like, all right.
I got a 9.
You got a 9, cool. Yeah, there's some weird, like, bunches of robe, and it's not dragging on the ground anymore. Mission accomplished.
So at least maybe I just look crazy?
Yeah.
That'll probably help.
I'm sorry. I'm just imagining him stuffing this, like, the rest of his robe into the back of his pants, and all of a sudden, like, he looks super, super thick with 2 C's. Like, he has a Kardashian butt.
Just take it off.
I'm okay with that.
Oh goodness, I love it.
I got
You know what?
6
I would
for the
be
record.
Oh, are you muscling
Are you trying-
yourself?
Mhm, yeah.
Yeah, you guys are. You look like something. Yep.
We look like we just like floated in on the tide.
Yes. I feel like what I'm learning about this group is that y'all are not super stealthy.
But who needs stealth, really?
I mean, different strokes and whatnot. All right, so you have done your best disguise of yourselves. You
Yep.
feel like you're gonna blend in really well as you enter the slums district. And just a reminder that Cedric knows where you're going. So the Lux Rum. It's weird. New Sachester is just about 20 years old, and most of the buildings here are not even that old, and yet the Lux Rum looks like it's been here for perhaps hundreds of years, looking aged, weather-beaten, and just ramshackle. And I'm assuming you're going inside.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, so
Definitely trying to walk a little, like, not like we're fall down drunk, but I'm at least trying to, maybe doing the, like, I'm drunk, but I'm not drunk walk, trying to get up to the bar.
how about a performance check, if that's what you're trying to do?
That'll probably also be terrible.
Trying to walk where you're, trying to past a police officer.
Yeah.
What kind of performance? Act? Would it just be an
Basically
act?
acting, yeah. I'm not
Okay.
as think as you drunk I am.
Yeah. I got a 13.
Okay.
I got a 7.
Cedric runs into the door jam.
Very confusing.
Everyone looks up at us.
Yeah.
I just kind of grab you and steer you along with me right up to the bar.
So again, the air in here is filled with smoke from cigars, pipes, and the kitchen. There's a big fireplace on one side, lots of tables, and an assortment of assorted chairs. It almost appears as if no 2 chairs in here are the same. There is a bar in the back, but in order to get there, you have to dodge some holes in the floorboards, and you're constantly walking on sticky, alcohol-soaked wooden floor. There is a bartender behind the bar. It appears to be the same cat that Cedric and Kay saw before. So he's kind of scraggly, looks like one of his canine teeth is broken. He's got a patch over one eye. And he's sort of, pouring a drink every once in a while for a patron and, sort of wiping up, although you really wonder if the wiping up does anything, because this place appears rather dingy. And there is a large bounty board. As you are facing the bar, it's against the wall to the left of the bar.
Stride up to the bar and I say, hello, good afternoon, my dear Tabaxi. 2 of your finest ales, please.
Sorry, I'm trying to remember. Oh yeah, it's his left eye. I was trying to remember which side had the patch on it.
It's different every time.
Yeah, you just switched it back and forth. What sort of drink did you want? We've got 2 specialty drinks, or we've got ale and wine and all kinds of other things.
2 ales for now. I think we're going to be in it for the long haul today.
Aye, all right then. Do you just want to open a tab then?
Yes, my good sir.
Fair enough. So he drafts 2 ales and puts the glasses up on the bar for you. I don't know why I'm still talking with my eye closed.
The specialty drink is what I had last time.
Well, you had one of the specialty drinks.
I had one of the specialty drinks. The other one might be better. I don't know.
Oh no, Cedric.
Cedric, do you remember which one you had?
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, you mean the one you told me, like, wrecked you? Let's not start with that.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's a good idea.
Okay, let's, I don't know, you know the kind of the lay of the land in here. Let's pick a seat near, I don't know, within earshot of some people.
Yeah, okay, that's a good idea.
Alright.
There's some chairs over there.
Pick up ale and walk over.
I was going to say, are you looking for a particular group of people, or...
Trying to be near folk that we could then sort of talk to, try to engage.
Okay. There's a few groups of mostly humans. Again, that's most of who you see in the town. There's at least one dwarf in the room, and maybe a gnome or two. I don't know who you want to sit near.
The dwarf.
Yeah, I was like, Cedric sits on top of the
On top of the dwarf.
Hi, friend. Flop.
Yeah. Can I go? Yeah. What does the dwarf look like? What's he wearing?
Medium height for a dwarf. Very stocky and muscular, muscly arms and calloused hands. He's got auburn hair cropped close against his head, but he has an incredibly full auburn beard that's neatly trimmed and unadorned, and brown eyes set below very full, wiry eyebrows.
I'm gonna head over to him.
I guess I'll go with Cedric because I don't think we should split up while we're trying to get information.
Howdy, brother.
Hello?
My name's Cedric.
Nice to meet you. I'm Nossel. You new in town?
Yeah, sort of. I mean, I've been here a couple of days, but yeah. This is my friend Fletcher. We're looking to get into the seafaring business.
Yeah, mostly interested in how working our way up, trying to become merchants. Trying to get the lay of the land, how the trade operates in the town. We both are like Cedric said. We both arrived at about the same time, so fairly new and trying to get the lay of the land.
Yeah, there's a lot of seafaring folk in and out of this city. Lots of good trade. What brought you here?
Opportunities, new land, money.
Oh yeah, money.
It's always a good thing to be looking for.
Indeed. So,
how long have you been in town?
Oh boy. I've lived here with my wife for probably 5 or 6 years now, I guess.
You found it easy to get by?
Yeah, well, the town, especially one growing like this, and with the Tenebrian military presence and all these other folk, definitely needed blacksmithing, so here we are, and we've made quite a business for ourselves with it, so.
You're a smith?
I am.
How's it work in a town with all these humans? How are you settling in?
Well, I mean, they can't find better than our craftsmanship, of course.
Of course.
So, no, we do a pretty handy business. Supply a lot of the guards, a lot of folk that look sort of like yourselves, as he's, really taking the measure of your personal appearances right now.
Certainly.
Yeah, we make a little bit of everything, and, little sister supplies what we don't, and so it's a really happy family business.
Where's your forge? What part of town?
Oh boy. Oh boy. Let me find that for you.
Well, wait, you don't have all 300 NPCs memorized?
No.
It's okay. I couldn't remember like what one of my 4 siblings I have.
Our smithy is right at the edge of the market district, right up against the docks, so it's easy for people to see and hear, and they know to come to us when they need supplies. There is another smithy, and well, he's nice enough, but we like to keep the competition stiff.
Yeah, no, that seems fair. I think I've been there, and I'll definitely check you out the next time my companions need some smithing done.
Appreciate that. Always nice to make friends and make business.
What kind of I don't know. I've noticed since I've been in town that the humans tend to do things a little bit differently than us. There seems to be even almost a criminal element in this city. Is there anything that we should be watching out for as far as the criminal element?
Especially,
are there any dangerous types?
Yeah.
So he's got 2 mugs in front of him, and he takes the first one and slams it back, kind of shakes, and then he chases it with a drink from the second mug. He says, "Criminals, that's amusing. I mean, every town of any size has criminals, I guess. If you've ever been in a city of any kind before. People, whether they're humans or dwarves or gnomes or halflings or whatever, don't always like to play by the rules. And New Sachester is a funny town because it's grown pretty fast for how young it is. And it's out here in the wilderness without any sort of rules. I mean, there's a mayor and the magistrate and all them other humans running things. But it's not, it's not like a city at home on Beatabaron, So, sure, there's people doing stupid shit and making other people unhappy, but a criminal element? That's a little more than I would suspect from this place. We've been very happy here.
That's great to hear, given the line of work we'd like to get into.
Sorry, what was that?
That's very reassuring to hear, given the line of work that the two of us are looking to get into. It seems like if a criminal element involved in, trade and the merchant business in a shipping town like this would be rather a big problem.
Aye.
How about we've been negotiating a little bit with a Mr. Green. Have you had any business dealings with him?
Green.
Hudson.
Yeah, Hudson Green?
He's a human fella. Real tall.
Yeah, most of them are, aren't they?
I know. That's very disconcerting, am I right?
Yeah, a little bit. We make do. I don't think I know a Green, but there's so many humans here, it's hard to keep track of all of them. They start to look the same.
I hear ya. Yeah, they all just look like a bunch of, necks and chins from down below. You know? Yeah. No offense, Fletcher.
Cedric has made one friend in the whole town.
It's understandable. I mean, dwarves all kind of just look like a bunch of scalps from up here.
Oh boy.
We're dead.
Fletcher has very low charisma.
So does Cedric.
Oh, this team has no stealth and no charisma.
Yes.
We just sent the 2 best people to go out and get
I know.
drugs.
Not all of the dangers of splitting the party are combat-based.
Why did you leave us?
we ever get merch, that should definitely be one of the shirts. Dwarves look like a bunch of scalps, and then it's just like a bunch of like heads from the top.
Well, it's been good chatting with you. As we build our business empire, I'm sure we will have many more dealings together. I appreciate you knowing that you're around, friend.
Likewise, pleasure to meet you, young enterprising fellows.
Moradin's blessings be upon you.
And you too.
Thank you for your advice and all your time. You let your next drink, let the bartender know to put it on our tab.
Ah, appreciate that. And he yells out, "Hey, Rumo, another hammer beer!" Tabaxi starts drawing another beer.
I'm like, and that's on us.
The cat's just nodding his head as he's doing the thing.
He's like, I hate
Then
people.
should we make our way to a group of humans?
What's everybody else in the bar look like?
Yeah. Is there anyone who looks like
They look
If
like a
there's,
bunch
like,
of knees,
someone-
apparently.
like if there's someone dressed nicely versus someone with like scars all over their face and like missing teeth?
I mean, it's kind of
Lucanus
a...
presents that.
It's... It's kind of a mix, you know. There's people of, you know, not anybody that looks like especially fancy. Just a bunch of, you know, working classy type people, mix of ages, you know.
I feel like we should talk to a human next. Maybe he would know Mr. Green.
Especially if we need to find a merchant. I mean, the dwarf may sell his goods, but being as blacksmith, I don't think he'd probably have as much insight into what we're trying to figure out. But I don't know. Well, what we might just have to keep talking to people to find someone who's a trader.
We could ask the bartender. I bet he
Or
knows everybody.
traitor, maybe.
Yeah. I'll stay at the table, so we're not both moving around together constantly. If you go find out, you know, tell him our backstory, what we're trying to do in town, and see if he recommends somebody who's here.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
This is also my little way of having Cedric practice talking to people normally.
See how this goes.
All right, so you're going to talk to a human? Is that?
No, I'm gonna come up to the bar.
The Tabaxi bartender.
You're talking back to
bartender.
the catfolk. Okay.
Yeah. Can I get another hammer beer?
Yeah, you were in here the other day, weren't you?
Yes.
You decided you liked that, huh? Yeah, sure. And he starts drawing
Yes.
another one.
Okay.
Okay. Here you go.
Thank you. So I'm new in town. Me and my coworker, colleague, we're looking to get into the whole merchanting business. So we're looking to make some business contacts in town. Is anybody in here in that particular trade that we could talk to? Just trying to network a little bit.
Merchanting?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a lot of tradesfolk in here. What kind of goods you looking for?
Fish, fish selling and vegetables.
Vegetables.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, fish. I think you met the Flivler brothers last time you were in here, right?
Yes, and they were very helpful.
And he gestures they're over at a table.
Oh, I wave at them.
Oh boy.
The life of my brother is in these hands?
She's like, move it along.
He's dead. He's
Yeah.
dead!
And what'd you say, vegetables? Ugh.
Yes, the vegetable market. It's very lucrative.
I mean, there's some farmers in here, I guess. I don't know who you're looking for or what you're looking for.
I was more thinking in the like import, export, shipping industry.
I mean,
Anybody that runs a ship in here?
runs a ship. As she opens her eye again to read her notes with depth perception.
It's like, wait a minute. I thought you were talking about the tabaxi for a second.
No, sorry. I can't keep holding my eye closed. Reading
We'll
notes.
all try and suspend our disbelief now that you've ruined the illusion of no longer being a one-eyed tabaxi.
You know what? Oh my god. Why can't I? There we go. Yeah, there's a pair of ship captains over there, I think, and he sort of gestures over to a table on one side of the room.
Okay. What are they drinking?
What are they drinking? Oh, jeez. Too many documents, folks.
You actually have this written down somewhere?
No, I'm just looking at what the options are.
Oh, okay.
I think they were both having ale.
2 more ales
Okay.
on my companions tab,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll take our 3 drinks.
Mm-hmm. You got that? You sure?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm good. Yeah.
All right. Mm-hmm.
Let me get down, and I'm gonna like gesture with my eyes over to the table over there towards Fletcher.
But Cedric's like,
Fletcher, what have you been doing while all this was happening?
crying. He's like,
Yeah, watching him, listening, and hoping things wouldn't go horribly wrong. But it seems like, I get up to kind of follow him over. Doesn't seem like things went too badly.
All right. Yeah, so you approach a pair of humans sitting at a table. They look like grizzled sea captain-y types.
Ahoy! May we join you with our bounty of drinks?
Ahoy. They sort of look at you and like...
I like
Who are
plop them
you?
on the table and like kind of push them forward. And then I take my hammer beer back and I hold it.
Okay. You're just like holding it with 2 hands. Like...
Yeah. Hi.
I hope you can pardon our intrusion, but my colleague and I found out that you are both renowned ship captains, and we are new to this town and very interested in trying to break into the trading and merchant ship business here, and just thought we could perhaps buy you a few drinks and in order to ask you a few questions.
Okay.
Push the drinks towards them.
They each take one by the top and just kind of slide it over.
Yes. Well, I mean, we're interested in well, first off, my name is Fletcher, and my associate here is Cedric. And what ships do you captain? What do you do here in town exactly?
So one of them says, I'm the captain of the Naga's Bite. I'm just stopping in for a few days before I head home to Tenebria. And the other one says, I'm the captain of the Copper Worm.
Both fantastic ships. You must be very proud of them.
Mm-hmm. Didn't you ride in on one of those?
Oh, I was aboard the Naga's Bite.
There
Yes,
you go,
it was a smooth sail, very enjoyable.
Glad you appreciated it.
Do you do trade in anything else, or do you mostly do runs of new settlers over here to Arda?
So the captain of the Naga's Bite, Grand Alanach, he says, I'm mostly dealing passenger cargo, I guess you could say. Run people to and from here and all the other places don't really get up to the little land, the pirates' haven so much, but Tenebria, New Seychester, Udivin, Beatabaron, all over the place, just moving people.
Oh, that's very interesting.
The captain of the Copper Worm says, I mostly deal in cargo, stop off lots of places and pick up trade goods and ferry them around. I came from Udivin, stopping off here to resupply ship essentials and then making our way on back to Tenebria.
How do you find your trade here in New Seychester? We're extremely interested in that business here. Is it easy? Do you find the trade here to be you're well received and it's easy to get along?
I don't really trade here much. Mostly, like I said, stopping off here for ship essentials, fresh water, food for the crew, that sort of thing. The trade goods we've got are things we picked up on the other continent and taken back home to sell, so...
the bartender.
Yeah, right. The bartender knocks his own glasses off the bar sometimes. Yeah, so I don't really pick up trade goods from here too often, but I mean, if I'm being perfectly honest, a lot of the people around here are still awfully poor, and there isn't a whole lot good to take from here as yet. I guess nobody's really seen what else this place might have to offer in terms of goods that could be sold in places where they might be made use of.
That's extremely good insight. Perhaps we could begin trading some of those useful things and make this our new home of a brand new exotic good. That could, I think, be a very lucrative business.
Got a boat?
Not yet.
Well, you see now, that's step one.
Well, if we are simply providing the trade to others with boats, and not hauling the goods ourselves, we could have a monopoly on whatever good we produce here.
I see.
Have you? Sorry to interrupt, but have you had any dealings with a Mr. Green here in New Seychester?
Yes, that was one contact we've received so far that may provide a good trade business to us.
The captain of the Copper Worm, Donan, he says, I've heard the name, but I haven't dealt with the Green Company or anything yet. I know he's here, but I haven't been employed by him yet. Would you like to do let's see here. How about a gather information check?
Just Fletcher or both of us?
Fletcher's the one who just asked that question, so.
Luckily, I got a 17.
So he goes on to say, I haven't been employed by Mr. Green yet, but I guess that might be, it might be for the best. Sounds like, last I heard, maybe a ship got caught in a storm in sort of the southern sea and went down. I think that ship might have been employed by him, so maybe it's best to not be in his employ. I don't know if maybe it's unlucky.
So he may have lost a lot of goods and money.
That happens. That's it's part of the danger and thrill of doing trade, isn't it?
That's very true. Cedric, do you have any additional questions for our two captains? I don't want to take up too much of your time tonight.
Nope, just I'm glad to have made your acquaintance.
Well, thank you both, and I hope you enjoy your drinks.
Thank you kindly.
Yeah, we I guess stand up, and as we're walking away, I'm like, well, we haven't talked to anybody yet who really knows much about trade here at all. But it sounds like maybe this trouble that the Greens are in have to do with the loss of all these goods, and now he owes whoever else was involved with that. Maybe the owner of those goods, or
certainly financial situations could have put people in scenarios where they might be taken advantage of before. This wouldn't be the first time something like that has happened. I think that's there's a reasonable chance that you're correct. Yes. Good observation. I think we should report that back to Kay and Lucanus.
Let's head back. Let's head back into the center part of town. Then I guess we'll start exiting the bar.
It would be a shame to see you go and see all of your gold go with you.
Oh, I'm so sorry, my
and
good
also my
sir.
glasses.
I guess I'll do another performance check real quick. 11? I'm trying to more exaggerate, act like I'm more drunk now, and it's why I forgot. And I wander back up to the bar, and
give me a perception check as you walk up there.
I make a perception check?
Yeah.
Okay. Perception. 16.
Okay, you can see his tail twitching. It seems like he doesn't really buy it.
How much do I owe you, good sir?
Let's see, that was 2 ales for yourselves and a hammer beer for your friend who... and then another hammer beer and 2 more ales, so 4 ales and 2 hammer beers, so that's, oh boy, where's my pricing? It's gonna be 2 gold.
They're very well. I pull out 2 gold, and I'm gonna put out and then another gold for him to try to smooth things over, and toss it on the counter.
Appreciate it.
Thank you very much for the wonderful service, good sir.
Did you guys finish your drinks, or what's going on with that?
Cedric's gonna put his hammer beer back on the bar
without drinking
kind of far away from the tabaxi, try and be subtle about the fact that he hasn't drunk any of it, and just put it back up on the bar.
Make a stealth check.
Shit. Yeah, that's a 13.
A 13. Okay. What was that?
He's gonna notice when he goes to pick up the glass.
Oh.
Just trying to bail with a little bit of dignity.
Where did he get it?
Those of us who are lightweights have to.
What was the number you got?
13.
Oh, he doesn't seem to notice.
No, I was nursing my single ale. So I maybe had half of it, and I left it at the end of the table we just got up from, so it can just be taken away later.
Are you guys looking at anybody else in there, or doing anything else, or are you just walking out now?
I kind of feel like if we continue sitting down and talking to every single group of people, we'll draw some kind of attention. And being split up in the group right now may not be what we'd like to do. Fletcher knows he definitely, if something were to happen, probably wouldn't go well. So Cedric, I'm guessing let's just head back and try to find Kay and Lucanus.
Yeah. We made plans to meet back up at the tavern that we've been staying at.
The Marked Bird.
The Marked Bird. Yes.
Yes.
Bar.
Mm-hmm.
We agreed to tweet up back at the Marked Bird.
Sheryl now regrets her decision.
Every DM ever has this experience where players make fun of the names of things in their towns or the names of their NPCs, and then...
To be fair, in real life, people also do that.
That's true.
That is true. Yeah, then I guess, we head back there.
There?
Yes, let's do
Marked
that.
Bird? Okay. Yeah, we go out.
Okay, you go out. Kay and Lucanus, are you doing anything else?
I think we're heading towards the entertainment district.
You're heading towards the entertainment district.
To the theater.
To the theater.
To the theater.
Oh boy.
Yeah,
Oh boy. Okay, so you are heading into the entertainment district. So as you walk into that area, you can see the building where the Royal Academy of Explorers is going to be built, and then you pass by a tea house, and then you are in between, so like you're walking down sort of like the main street in there. So then you're in between the Ecstasy Theater and a fancy-looking restaurant that is not yet open for dinner because it's still kind of it's still pre-dinner time.
What? You can eat dinner at any time of the day.
This is a fancy restaurant, though.
Fancy. All right. Well, I just walk into the front door of the theater.
Yes, you do, because it's closed. So you just...
Knock, knock, knock. All right. Well, Lucanus, thoughts? I obviously can't think because I just banged my head pretty damn hard on that door.
Is there a back door?
Oh, that would be a good idea.
Ooh, the stage door.
A stage door.
Or a door that would be less obvious if it was, say, broken down.
We're closed. Yeah, I mean, let's try and look for a door, I guess.
Okay, where are you looking? You could sort of, so in order to get here, you kind of had to walk through, the warehousing district, so it's like the, K on your map. 43 is the office of the Royal Academy of Explorers, and, 45 is the Ecstasy Theater.
Okay, yes, I see.
Yeah,
it. Mm-hmm.
And then beyond that is so 46 is a bathhouse. Okay. Where are you going to look for a door, I guess?
What side was Sir Tim murderized?
Timothy Prendergast was found dead in the alleyway between the Ecstasy Theater and the building site of the Royal Academy of Explorers.
Is that, what number is that, or do you want to put it in the map?
That's 43 is the Royal Academy building.
Okay, good.
Site.
I assume. Well, I guess that side, and also can we how many days ago was it?
It was how many days ago was it? That's a great question. How many days have you been here? You've only been here 3 days. Not you. Okay. I mean you as in when did the curtain rise on this game? Was 3 or 4 days ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it was basically the day before you met all these yahoos. So it's because the whole Jay being in jail thing is very recent development.
Okay, so 4 days ago. I don't know,
pretty much.
I look at Lucanus and say, well, I mean, this whole thing went down like 4 days ago, right? So maybe there might be a clue here, in addition to a door. I don't know. Maybe we can just keep our eyes open to see if anything looks particularly suspicious.
Should we do a search check?
Yeah, probably.
Alright.
Once you're in the alleyway, you may make a search check. You may each make an individual search check.
I'm gonna go search check. Come on.
Are you searching? Are you searching any particular part of the alleyway, or are you just doing the whole alleyway?
I mean, I don't really know what the alleyway looks like. Why don't you describe the alleyway?
I mean,
to us?
it's a pretty standard alleyway, right? So sort of cobblestone flag street. There's the theater building on one side and the mostly built Academy of Explorers building on the other side. So I didn't know if you were searching the walls of either building or the street, it's, you know, the alleyway cobblestoniness itself, or if you're just sort of searching the whole thing.
I don't know. Probably the whole thing.
Okay.
I'm not particularly focused because, you know, there's a lot on my mind right now. So hopefully whatever it is will just, like, jump out and hit me in the face.
Okay.
I vote we just sort of check the alleyway where the body was found.
That's where we are.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about, like, the whole, like, premises, and I didn't understand.
No, we're...
Well, I mean, so you're in the alley where you heard from people on the docks. You heard that the body was found in this alleyway, but it's not like there's like a chalk police outline or anything crazy like that.
Yeah.
So.
So I actually rolled a 20.
A natural 20?
I rolled a natural 20.
Bow, bow, bow.
And then I have a 6 modifier, so I have a 26.
That's 26. How about you, Lucanus?
9 plus 2.
9 plus 2 is 11. So you're sort of looking around. A lot of this is still very unfamiliar to you, and you're definitely playing the bodyguard thing. So like every sound, you're like turning your head and looking. So you're maybe doing a less thorough job of looking, you know, on the ground and the walls. But Kay, you are driven. You want to figure this out. You want to save Jay, your brother, from this horrible fate. And so you are able to find 2 things that seem a little out of place. I mean, this is an alleyway, so there is a lot of stuff here. But you find 2 things that seem like they might belong in your investigation. So you find some shards of glass sort of in the middle of the alleyway. And a little ways away from the shards of glass, you find a cork.
Like a wine bottle cork?
Like a cork that would stopper some sort of bottle, yeah.
So either wine or potion.
Yeah. Hey, Lucanus, you have a piece of paper in that, like, handy-dandy whatever you carry with you all the time?
It's clear glass.
Do I have a piece of paper?
Do you have a piece of paper? Is
don't know,
that a
you
thing
have-
that you carry, Lucanus?
Yes.
Do you have, like,
know
a
what?
notebook or something?
It would be... I have a list of crap that I carry.
In your backpack.
Good job.
Hey!
Because I do not have a backpack.
What? A
And I'm
D&D
guessing-
player who's keeping an inventory of their stuff?
Yeah,
Nonsense. It's because he's new.
right?
I don't have pockets. 'Cause-
Closest I have is a winter blanket.
Great. Do you have
closest thing
something
to
that we
paper.
can
Better
draw?
winter.
Do you have something that we can draw on that winter blanket with?
I do not.
Damn. Well, guess we'll have to conveniently commit this to memory.
If only there was someone in your party who had the ability to take a Polaroid picture.
Right. If only. Cell phone.
the nod that's happening right now is amazing.
Is that a wizard ability?
It's a Fletcher
It's
ability.
a Fletcher ability.
He hasn't gotten to use it yet.
Nope.
Why?
We're
Well,
Hey, we're doing very important drinking right now.
I hate all of you.
I mean, honestly, Kay, let's just head back to the marked bird to grab to grab that piece of paper because it's been 4 days. That stuff's probably still going to be here for a little while. Someone was trying to cover their tracks.
You hear the sound of a street sweeper.
Yeah, I mean...
Lucanus rolls initiative on the
face off against the street sweeper.
I don't know. I feel like it's not that far. I mean, I feel like we could run there in, 20 minutes? And then back?
Yeah, let's just head there and back.
All right, let's go. All right, and I will now make a tote where I have piece of paper and a pen.
Cool.
For those of us who don't have photographic memory or whatever it is.
So as you are coming down the street back towards the marked bird, you see Cedric and Fletcher coming from the opposite direction. Or, well, I guess, yeah, you're sort of... Anyway, you see each other on the street.
Hi, friends!
Hey, guys!
Hi. There's
Hello.
stuff, but mainly, like, Lucanus and I are running to the marked bird because we need a piece of paper so we can draw, like, there's some kind of, like, sketch stuff in the alleyway where Mr. Tim was severely murdered, and so we, like, want to draw it so that way, we have, like, evidence and stuff.
Oh,
Oh.
let's just go straight there. I developed a spell in school that I've been waiting to use for so long.
Does it magically manifest paper?
It creates an exact replica of the scene I concentrate on in my notebook. I call it a vivograph. It draws what I'm seeing in life,
Huh.
and
So it's,
I can
better than
recreate it
manifesting.
exactly.
Oh. Well, that sounds much better because my drawing skills are pretty horrible. So that sounds good.
So are mine, but luckily it does not depend on what my hands can do, only my mind.
Perfect. I guess let's just go back then.
I see Peter squinting at the screen. Yes, we did homebrew a cool cantrip for
Yeah, I
this
like it.
game.
Yep.
One of the coolest things about this cantrip is because in 3.5 you don't just get free cantrips all day long like you do in 5th. So Fletcher is still constrained in the number of times he can cast this per day, but it is exceptionally useful for a grad student type who needs to make notes on a lot of important things.
Yeah. In fact, I wish I had that ability.
I know, right?
Yeah.
And I have it imbued in a wand. That once I created it and refined it, I was able to put it into a usable tool form, so I can go and do this when needed.
So Fletcher has like the perfect lab notebook.
Yep.
Convenient.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's see how well it works and go that way before someone cleans it up.
Let's go.
All right, so you all head on back to the entertainment district.
All right, Fletcher. So you see that broken clear glass over there, and you see that random cork. I don't know. They seem a little weird to me. I don't know. I'm just saying.
Let's see. So you'd like to focus on just that, or on the larger context of the alley?
Probably the larger context of the alley, like where it is, because we'll probably be asked that. Someone will be asked that. We have evidence and stuff. So
Okay.
I don't know. It could be useful.
Okay. Well, luckily, I can spend. You can give me maybe 10 minutes to concentrate on this scene. We should be relatively undisturbed, and I should be able to recreate a highly detailed vivograph of the alley.
Okay.
So I pull out. I just hold my blank notebook that I have and open up to a page, and pull out the wand and close my eyes to begin concentrating with my mind's eye on the alleyway, while holding the wand just sort of over the notebook. And you see first just a black line form a rectangle across the size of an entire page. So I'm using up a whole page, and then it slowly begins sort of just filling in the details of the image of what's in front of me in the alley.
That's cool, actually.
That is pretty cool.
It was
glad we did not
a great idea that Ryan came up with.
Yeah. I was like, because since Fletcher is, I mean, he's currently like obsessed with his time at the university and being a scholar. He focused on creating this spell for this exact, for getting down exact bits of knowledge that he sees, so he can revisit it later. So. Yeah, so it's, if I can spend, I can take our full sort of 10 minutes undisturbed here and create this photograph on the page.
Are any of you doing anything while Fletcher spends 10 minutes drawing? Or having his wand draw for him?
Yeah.
Lucanus is standing guard at the end of the alley.
Which end?
The more kind of, the end that's like not facing the heavily populated street.
Okay, so you're looking sort of like towards the districts in this town are sort of separated by not very official walls. They're just sort of wooden, stake walls. So you're at that end because so basically the back end of this alley butts up against the wooden wall that separates the entertainment district from the temple district.
Yeah, but his back's towards like one of the other walls, so
okay. He's
kind of watching both areas. But if any trouble happens, he kind of expects it to Kool-Aid Man through the wooden slats.
Okay. Anybody else?
Kay looks for a door.
You look for a door where?
I don't know. I guess there or on the other side.
Okay, so you're circling.
Is there a back door? Yeah.
Yes, there's definitely like a back door, stage door, also closed and locked.
Damn.
Cedric, are you doing anything?
He's just kind of wandering around, just kind of like poking at stuff and like trash, like bored.
Okay. Well, this seems like a great place for us to take a break. So we're going to take our bio break, maybe like 5 or 10-ish minutes so that Nancy can let her dog out. If you do have any questions for the cast, please put them in the Twitch chat or the Periscope chat or tweet them at us and we'll address them when we come back. But in any case, just grab a snack and a drink and meet us back here in a little while. We'll see you soon.
Cool.
Well, hi everybody, we're back. We were talking about adulting and what various people are having for dinner. We hope that you're having a good snack or a good dinner wherever you are or whatever you're doing. I'd like to give a shout out to Eric, the radiant Marshall Brown, who has been watching in the chat this whole time. Hi, Eric! Thanks for being our constant companion. There hasn't been any heckling yet. But Eric does have a question for the cast, which is actually kind of a great segue into what I was going to ask you guys to talk about when we came back. So first we'll ask and answer Eric's question. He says, if you could know any 2 D&D spells, one for your research and one for personal use, what would they be?
I don't know any D&D spells. That's why I picked someone who shoots things with, arrows.
Fair enough. But Nancy probably does wish that she had the rogue's ability to evade traps or find traps in the first place.
I find every damn hole in the jungle. Like, I don't know how my... Like, seriously, you want me to go first because I will trip on every root, I will fall over every rock, and I will fall in every hole, so you don't have to.
Yeah, so if you had trap finding, that would be useful.
Definitely.
Okay, cool. Anybody else?
So this isn't exactly a spell, but I mean it could be for all I know. But I've always wanted to make like a perfectly linear, like in a plant or an animal that has like a perfectly linear degree-day growth pattern. So you could set up an experiment, pop it in the oven at like 350, and have like 6 months worth of data done in like 10 minutes.
I guess you could use like summon monster, because then you'd like have the organisms.
Yeah, I think that would work. Summon monster for like a taxonomist. That would be perfect.
Oh man.
Another one that would be super useful for everyone, the spells Speak with Animals and Speak with Plants. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was a thing.
Yep,
but...
those two spells are incredibly useful, or they can be. They don't, so some people like to use them where, like, you speak with the animals and, like, you have a conversation with it, but that's not really how, like, animals and their quote-unquote language work necessarily. So in my house, when we use speak with animals or speak with plants, you sort of, it's a sharing back and forth of, like, emotions kind of thing. Right, so it's not, you don't get to ask specific questions. It's more like a, give me your feelings kind of thing. And also the caveat that, like, trees don't have eyes.
Yeah,
so you can't, ask the tree if a particular person walked past, because the most the tree is going to give you is, well, I felt something walk past.
Yeah, I kind of wonder, like, how useful that would be in real life, because I could just imagine, like, my friend Amy Toth at Iowa State, she studies wasps, and I just kind of feel like if you were walking by a wasp nest and you were like, hey, how are you guys feeling? And they'd be like, I feel like you should fuck off.
We always feel angry. We're wasps.
Yeah, I guess, like, I was thinking about it from, like, the perspective of an ag agent, right, where, like, a lot of my job is, like, diagnosing problems for farmers, and it would be great to be able to, like, walk out into a field and, like, immediately identify, like, a disease or something like that. But I would say, like, as a human being, you're just like, I feel shitty, right? Like, when you're sick.
Yeah.
It's like, it's like I wouldn't, it's like I could walk into a hemp field and the plants wouldn't be like, I have a russet mite infestation. They'd just be like, fix me. Yeah, so it wouldn't be extremely useful there.
But you could use the spell remove disease.
Yeah, I was thinking about that, but that's only targets, like, one individual, right? So, like, not super useful for, like, a 300-acre cornfield,
Well, isn't corn a grass?
How much?
Mm-hmm.
How do we determine what an individual grass is? Isn't that one of those fun things about all of the plants in that group, that, like, what an individual is kind of weird? I learned that working in the prairie, because you're like, oh, well, like, grasses are weirdly clonal. I know that, like, an individual corn plant is a little more definable than, like, an individual big blue stem per se, but still,
Corn doesn't have rhizomes.
Yeah.
Rhizomes are those underground stems where, like, they send up shoots, and I guess technically you could argue that the rhizome is, like, the actual plant, and like the plants that you see are, like, kind of disposable leaves.
Kind of like mushrooms, right? Where, like, the mushroom is, like, just the reproductive part of the plant, or the organism.
There were so many cool mushrooms out in the prairie yesterday. So I went out for my second to last day of field work for this calendar year, and it had just rained, so there were all these beautiful mushrooms out. It was really awesome. And speaking of doing field work yesterday, because it's the end of the season, all of the Indian grass was like 8 feet tall in my wettest site, and my poor undergrad and I were having a heck of a time trying to find our way around. So I realized that the no direction spell would be really useful, because casting that spell allows you to immediately know where cardinal north is, so that we would have been able to find our way back out of our site when we were done.
Isn't that what a compass is for?
I didn't have a compass.
I mean, technically, we have that spell in real life.
I know.
It's called a compass.
I did not have one with me. My hands were full of other things.
GPS on your cell phone?
Oh, please, honey. Have you ever walked with your cell phone into the prairie? That is a terrible idea. One of the other PIs at the university where I did my master's, he doesn't do field work very often. He's a microbial ecologist. And he went out into the prairie with his phone in his pocket, and his phone fell out of his pocket while he was walking around, and they had to use the Find My iPhone thing to find it again. And he was lucky. They did find it. Wow. I actually have photos on my phone from not this past spring, but the spring before, when we went out and, like, reset up our research grids. In one of the sites that had been burned, we found a charred, bubbled, blackened blackberry that someone had dropped in the prairie, and no one had found it, and then that site had been burned, and the fire went over the blackberry. So no, you do not take your phone out into the prairie with you unless it is absolutely imperative that you take a photo of some pretty flower out there.
There's at least one of my phones somewhere on one of the University of Maryland research farms. And it was my old flip phone, and it was like I couldn't find it. It was, and that was the day that I switched over to getting a smartphone. And at least 3 pocket knives somewhere in some field. Somebody's gonna be digging potatoes in 3 years and get stabbed.
Yep.
Sorry. potential future researcher. My bad.
Which leads us to another spell that would be incredibly useful. Find item.
It would, yeah. Find object is useful. I also like Unseen Servant because there's just like an invisible force that can do work for you, so that's nice.
I need that.
For you.
Huh?
I feel like that would be incredibly useful, but if like scientists had access to that spell, lab tech positions would just dry up.
Yeah, it's like Unseen Undergrad.
Mm-hmm. Does comprehend languages work on R? Because I would.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Not even that spell can crack R.
I cast it at level 10.
Oh god.
Nothing.
Oh, so right now I'm starting to learn R, and I am going to get to complain about it very soon.
Oh, you're just
I am
starting to
so
learn
excited.
it? Oh,
Oh,
man.
welcome to the club.
Wait,
Yeah.
does everybody else know how to use it already?
I mean,
No, this is why I left academia.
Oh.
does anybody really understand how to use it? I have used it a lot.
Actually, my PI has a great site, R for it's either Ag Stats for R or R for agriculture. It's a complete introduction on how to use R and just very, very basic stuff for people who might be a little, R-tarded like me.
I don't know.
So,
I think
yeah.
I'm certainly not going to call myself an expert on R by any means. I used it for my master's thesis, which, is good, I guess. But, hi, Xander! Xander from Art Explains is in the chat, too, and he says, I've used R and don't really understand it. I think, I don't know if it's ever something you can, understand. You basically just become very familiar with using whatever packages you're using for your particular analyses.
So,
all this and it works, and I don't know why.
Yeah,
Just
you
in case,
you learn how to read the help code and figure out a new package, and you learn how to get through it and use the new package you need to use.
Just learning how to read a help, if you type in question mark and then the function and that thing pops up and you're like, what does this even say?
Yeah.
Just in case there's any non-scientists listening out there, R is a program that allows us to figure out what's going on with our data. You can get a whole bunch of data, but to actually find a real pattern in the data, you need to use statistics. And R is a sort of build your own calculator kind of deal. You sort of program the tests you want to do into R, and it will get the data from all your spreadsheets and do all your tests. And it is an incredibly useful program because not every statistics program that we use can do that, but R can do that. The only problem is that you literally have to learn how to program your own calculator in order to use this program. And it's because of that, because of how it's set up, there is literally no interface. It is incredibly difficult to use, but once you learn how to use it, it becomes the most useful program in a scientist's arsenal. And the kind of joke that I made earlier, that I get to complain about using R is because a lot of scientists, especially those who went to grad school 5 or 6 years ago, didn't. R wasn't a big deal then, but since as the field has evolved, R has become more and more into greater use, so there's more and more people learning how to use it. And as I said earlier, it's kind of a bitch to learn, so there is actually a lot of camaraderie around just complaining about this one incredibly useful program.
Yeah. My favorite spell in R is the package ggplot2 because you can make beautifully customized graphs and plots and charts, which are far superior to anything Excel could ever dream of creating.
Yeah.
So I really like ggplot. And this segues nicely into a question I was going to ask you guys for our... Oh my goodness, I lost my bell.
Ting ting.
For our... There we go. So our out-of-character science-connected conversation today is so let's talk about real-world science forensics applications, because y'all are doing some forensics in the alley right now. So
I actually taught a forensic entomology class.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, I designed and taught it. That was like one of the things that I did for my master's that didn't count at all for my master's.
Oh. Tell us more, though, because like I actually, when I was in high school, wanted to grow up to work at the body farm because I'm weird and I like dead things.
That's
we did a whole decomp
Yeah.
project with pigs.
Yeah.
So forensic entomology is the study of insects developing in presumably a very dead body. And then you determine how long the body has been exposed to the elements, dead, based on the insect development. So it's not a time of death. It's never that specific because biology is complicated. But it does give you, I mean, it depends on how long and the body's been out there and how much you have to work with. But in its most accurate, it can get you within a couple of days, and its least accurate, yeah, that kid died like 5 years ago. So, which makes it a little bit challenging. My favorite part about it was that it's basically applied ecology. So all of the things that you talk about in ecology, like competition and resource partitioning and, in micro ecosystems and stuff, all comes into play because a body that's in the back of a car is going to have different insects that can access it and at a different temperature than literally a body outside of that car. So that's what I really liked about it. It was kind of just like a big puzzle. You walk in and you know only that there's a dead body there. And then you, with your kind of just detective skills, have to go in and collect, like the larva from inside the body. There's also things that will pupate off the body, so you have to like move the body over and like dig under it in case there's bugs that have already come off of it. But one of the big challenges to forensic entomology is that the forensic entomologist isn't always the person and usually isn't the person on scene. And so a lot of data is lost just because police don't really know how to properly document. So they'll just like take a picture of a thing of maggots. But you can't identify species off of a thing of maggots. So you really need them to be like specially collected and preserved in alcohol and like not squashed with forceps. And again, the police would have to know to move the body to dig everything under it. So it's a pretty complicated field in general, which I think is one of the reasons why I liked it so much. But the forensic entomology class that I taught had two components. The first was a decomposition study where we actually got pigs from the University of Georgia and euthanized them and then threw them out and did our own kind of body farm. And the students got to do whatever they wanted to their pigs, which told us a lot about the students' personalities. Like one group cut theirs up into itty-bitty pieces and scattered it around the field. Another group covered it with sticks and leaves. Another, the vet students, dissected out all of the inside bits. So that was fun. And then for the other half, because that was the research, we go every couple days, we see what's happening with these different pigs, which was really interesting because it was all in the same environment, just different treatments of the animals. And then I designed case studies that were role play interactive for the groups of students. So down to the fact that one of them, I was like, you want to check the house for more evidence, and I literally handed them an envelope that had the bill of the person who died, because the whole point was that their the body was developing when the air conditioning was on, and then the electric bill wasn't paid, so the electric bill turned off, so that means had a second type of development on the second half of their case. But anyway, I literally scanned in one of my bills and then changed the name and the date and put it back in the envelope with all the junk mail and handed it to the students. That was super fun. And then they had to solve their case with, I gave them real places and real years. They had to use real weather station data, and then they had to defend their case in a mock trial setting, because that's also part of the forensic entomologist's job, is that you are then called in as the expert witness, and then you have to explain what you did, basically, in a way that a jury with maybe a 6th grade science education could understand. So that's the long short of it, I guess.
Mm-hmm. No, that was a great explanation, and yeah, that stuff's super fascinating.
Yeah, super cool.
Well, the forensic technique that I've also been very interested in the forensic technique as of late, and it's familial DNA analysis. So just to sort of give a history about this, there was about more than that. In 1985, there were two barrels. There was a barrel found in the woods of Bear Brook State Park with 2 bodies in it, and like nobody knew who these bodies were. And then in 2000, they found another pair of bodies that had been there since 1985. And they were actually only identified earlier this year. And there's a really, really good podcast called Bear Brook, which goes through this entire case. But it turns out that the person who did this was a serial family annihilator. So if you remember the Chris Watts case that made the news maybe 2 years back, the guy who killed his family and put them in the oil drum. The guy who hid these bodies in the state park did that for like 40 years, and they really only figured out who this guy was and what the extent of his crimes were by taking the DNA from some of their victims and plugging it into essentially Ancestry.com, tracking down these people's relatives and trying to get closer and closer to the family of this person, so they could identify them through the family tree. And in the first case, this was used to identify victims, both living and dead. As I said, it's kind of a long story, very complicated, and I don't want to get into some of the more tragic details here. But maybe 2 years ago, they actually caught a serial killer using this method. They caught the Golden State Killer by entering DNA, figuring out who this person was related to, and just sort of narrowing it down from there. And it's actually a really interesting technique because we can now solve all these cases that were previously considered unsolvable. And they're using it to great effect now. So I've been really interested in learning about the history and how that technique has been used and been developed, as well as like the societal implications of using public DNA sites to do stuff like that.
Definitely an ethical consideration to all of that, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. There's a lot of ethics there.
Yeah. Well, and then especially related to the scene we're looking at with this like broken bottle, and like, okay, what was done? What was there? And thinking non-biology, there's a lot of chemistry that you can do to forensically to figure things out. So if you were able to collect residues, or basically what's left of a compound that was present, like if it was a potion in that bottle, or was it some kind of drug that was used to knock somebody out in this alleyway,
or kill someone.
Yeah, or was it a poison, a potion? You know, was this just a bottle of mead, and we're like totally off track on even thinking about this bottle? You'd be able to collect that residue and run it through various tests. You know, separate out maybe the different compounds that are there. You know, doing things like, you know, elutions and things to separate fractions of what you've collected, and then doing different steps to identify what you found, like with different mass spectroscopy techniques to get weights, identities of what you found, to piece together like what was the chemical that was present and how does it play into the scenario that we're thinking of. And so obviously it applies to our situation in the game, but then is used in similar ways in real life. And I just want to add for my spell, while we were talking about that, since I take care of a lot of different plants, but they're not crops, they're like conservatory specimen plants from around the world. Cure disease would be very relevant for me because each plant is getting different problems. So if something's having a lot of issue, I don't care that I'm using it on one plant. It would just be very nice to be able to get rid of the problem it has. But then also plant growth is a spell. And so if, you know, in the fall we're producing literally thousands of mums in different growth patterns for our fall flower show. And so it might be nice, like, oh, if something is going wrong, be like, well, let's just force them to grow anyway so that things are ready. And so just make them grow and flower and be ready no matter what happens. Those would be very relevant to the concerns I have day to day.
I love that. That's a good one.
With forensic entomology, you can actually identify chemical compounds as well in the maggots. So, like, you can some of them affect their development, like cocaine makes them grow bigger and faster.
Whoa.
But you can also process the insect and see the byproducts after the metabolism has happened in the insect. So you can identify, like, if someone was on drugs or something just based on identifying the maggot. And you can also even get victim DNA out of the gut contents of maggots. So if you don't have a body anymore, but you find some, like, oddly plump maggots on nothing, you can pick them up and see if the victim's DNA is in their stomach, and that would suggest that the body's been moved.
Now, do any toxins bioaccumulate in maggots?
They do, and a lot of them are then processed in the exoskeleton. You can even find them in the pupa afterwards.
Oh.
That's very cool.
Very cool.
So I just want to kind of crowdsource this. Every time I talk about forensic entomology with non-biologists, I feel like the name that always comes up is Hodgins from Bones.
And Gibbs from CSI.
Or Gil from CSI.
Yeah, Gil, whatever his name is.
My sister calls me Gil.
Yeah, I think that's always one of those interesting things where it's like
that's how we sold the class, actually.
Yeah.
Like, do you want to be like Bones or whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you want to have a show ruined for you, you should have an entomologist watch it with you. So
yeah, definitely.
So
be like, well, that's not really possible.
Yeah,
those are actually cockroaches, not flesh-eating beetles. Or
yeah. Bones was like very enjoyable to watch, but literally, if you watch it with any kind of scientist, the whole time through the show, you're just like, no.
Well, and to be fair to Hollywood, you know, these people are limited by what they can get in pet stores. I mean, blue bottle fly maggots are incredibly hard to find, and I mean, the most, like, you can either spend a week searching for them online, or you can go to a Petco and pick up waxworms, and they look about.
Or you can just leave your dirty plates outside for like 10 minutes.
Yeah, for real. I had a blue bottle lay eggs on some bacon that I had set out on my kitchen counter like a week ago.
They're amazing. Like, they can smell dead flesh within minutes from up to 12 miles away.
Yeah, it was sitting on my counter for like an hour. I came back and there was like this big mass of fly eggs, and I was like, weird. In case you guys want to try, you know,
extra protein on your bacon.
The difference between a pet and a pest is just one letter.
Ew. Although, so Eric in the chat said that pretty much any TV show or movie can be ruined by an expert in that particular subject matter, which is absolutely true. We all are lay people when it comes to other things, and so you know, we might enjoy a TV show or a movie that includes something like that. But I think it's also worth pointing out that it's expensive to get an expert in every single thing that you might cover in a TV show or a movie, and to have them consult on your script, and also difficult, right? Like, how many crotchety old scientists who are experts in forensic entomology actually would want to come be a consultant for Bones or NCIS or whatever?
Yeah.
And I
have a story that's relevant to this. I want to just say real quick. I know for a fact that Mae Berenbaum consulted for Elementary, the TV show, the American Sherlock TV show, and they did not take her consultation advice because it has some of the worst entomology that I've seen in a TV show. It's so bad. Yeah, and like particularly because the main character is supposed to be like obsessed with honeybees, and there are so many things that are wrong about honeybees that he says in the show. But yeah, so I know, you know, Mae Berenbaum, for those of you who don't know, it's pretty big name in entomology. She knows what she's talking about. And the fact that she actually did consult for the show, and then they just kind of were like, that's cool, but we're good.
Yeah,
and it's like if it doesn't work like they're not going to bog down their script so much in getting every detail correct. It's like, and I mean, even when I watch things, I still prefer my suspension of disbelief and expertise, and just watch it and enjoy it. People who harp about every single thing in a show or movie are joyless
it was
misers.
like the Ant-Man. I saw people on Twitter being like, the tarsal claws aren't correct on the Ant-Man. And I'm like, but you can tell it's a carpenter ant. Like, get over it.
Yeah.
Like,
Either way,
enjoy it.
Either way, they're still insects as heroes, which is
Yeah.
Yay!
But no. But if we're talking about bad representations of science and scientists in TV shows, I have always really hated the Big Bang Theory.
Oh, I knew you were going to talk about this.
Yeah. So in the Big Bang Theory, anytime somebody talks about it, they're like, oh, the physics equations on the whiteboard are accurate. And it's like, who gives a shit? In the show, the entire joke is the fact that they are actually talking about science, especially in this day and age where, we have so many problems with, public trust in science and, people believing in utter bullshit. And yet they think about talking about science to the general public as a joke. And that makes it, at least in my mind, the worst science TV show that's ever been created. I don't care. I don't care if the equations on the whiteboard are accurate or if they have actual scientists sort of walk by in the background or come onto the show for 5 minutes. That show is genuinely harmful was genuinely harmful to science, and it being off the air is probably one of the best things that's happened to science communication in the past 10 years.
I was really frustrated, not just about the science content, but the desperately clinging to really harmful tropes about scientist personalities, and Sheldon specifically making it out to be being a scientist with who is probably on the autism spectrum being this bad thing was just really frustrating. And
so speaking as an actual autistic person, Sheldon Cooper as a representative for autistic people is horrible. Again, it is basically non-autistic people acting autistic for the sake of entertainment for people who are not autistic, and there's certain parallels there with other forms of entertainment, and I'm not gonna really get into that, but Sheldon Cooper is another character who is very, very problematic in that show.
Yeah.
So when liking science was a joke through the whole show, and then his character was being autistic was the joke, how the things he did, and it's what are you? Why?
Yeah.
Well, and then there was this one episode where his boss was mad at him, and she asked his boss was mad at him, and he asked her if she was on her period, and they passed it off as that's him being autistic, and I'm sitting here screaming fuck no, he should be fired for that. That is not what autistic people do. That's not the sort of social difficulties that autistic people have. It's a grotesque parody of them. So, but so a show that I think Bones and CSI actually handled science pretty well. Not that they're perfect, but if you watch, say, the Marvel movies or Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., they just tend to accidentally up solutions in 5 minutes, and that's not how these things go. You can't hammer out a time travel device in an hour.
It took me months.
I'm just gonna unpopular opinion. I really hated basically everything about Endgame, but the whole we're gonna come up with it that quickly because all of the directors and writers had such a hard on for Tony Stark. It's he comes up with it while he's laying upside down on the couch. I was like, no.
I actually really liked Endgame because it's a superhero movie where the entire plot line is how different people deal with trauma, and I thought it was really well handled. especially Thor, because you don't need abs to be chosen.
Yeah. the Thor stuff was awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the chat totally agrees with you guys that the Big Bang Theory is problematic. So.
Yeah.
And
sorry, I just had to go on the Big
no,
Bang.
I love it. I feel the same way.
I can have my popcorn ready.
Anytime we start talking about like science in the media, Nancy basically has my rant memorized because he's heard it so many times.
Next time Joe can move his mouth and Nancy can talk. And
I mean, you joke about that, but we could literally do that.
I love it. But it's time for the end of the out of character science chat, and we'll get back into the game. But something Ryan said earlier about using forensics to process evidence was really interesting to me. So at this point, Fletcher, you've finished using your what are you calling the spell?
Polaroid picture.
Yes.
It's vivography.
Vivography. So you've finished making your vivograph. Is there anything else that you guys would like to do with the crimes, or with the supposed crime scene, with these bits of evidence that you've made a vivograph of? Anything else you'd like to do here?
Well, now that I've recorded, our exact setup of this scene, I think we should start collecting whatever we can find if we think these are clues. So it's okay to move things now.
Bag and tag.
Yeah.
I mean, should we not touch it or something? We're gonna collect it while still maintaining its integrity. What are we gonna collect it in? I don't got a bag. Are we just gonna throw it in Lucanus' backpack?
Hasn't everything gone in his backpack so far? There was seaweed in there.
I have a winter blanket. Do we have a broom and a dustpan?
Do you guys have a plan for
every forensic
this?
entomologist is actually crying right now.
I mean, we could go to a bar, get a glass, and then just sort of scoop it in there and.
What are we gonna do with it once we collect it? We don't have any.
We could keep it in Fletcher's hotel room.
So he looks like a murderer?
Fletcher, Lucanus turns to Fletcher. Fletcher, don't you want pet murder evidence?
See, I'm just thinking about this in 10 levels. You're gonna be like, why do I have a small cloth bag of broken glass?
I don't know, Fletcher. You're the scientist. You tell us what to do.
What am I going to say? I'm going to take the cork. Perhaps it will match with another cork somewhere else. I mean, we know of at least 2 apothecaries in the town. Perhaps they use different corks and it matches with one. They could, I don't know, perhaps with a glass, if there is some kind of tint or color or smell, they'll recognize the potion. We just kind of gather it all up.
Recognize it. Yeah.
That's a good idea. All right.
That's super smart.
Super smart. Agreed.
Super smart. Agreed.
I found it, though.
You did, yes.
You did. Does anybody have a scrap of cloth or anything?
I have a winter blanket.
Good enough. Put it on the ground.
I feel like that phrase is about to become a drinking game.
Lay it on the ground next to the broken glass.
Our merch is just winter blankets.
Yeah.
And vegetables.
Lucanus, excitedly grabs the winter blanket out of his pack and spreads it on the ground and gingerly right next to it, being as delicate as possible.
And then
he's so happy to help.
So and then I pull out the big quill that I keep for taking notes and use that to just kind of push everything onto the blanket.
Nice.
And just pick it up by all the corners to make a little satchel.
Cool. You do that.
Yep. Now I'm gonna need this back before winter comes. Just FYI.
I hope
We don't have winter.
I hope you have it solved before then. Because the trial's in like a day, right?
So we need to run this around to as many places as you can think of, Kay, that somebody may recognize a cork or something about the glass before we have to return to the Green's Manor.
Well, I mean, the only thing that I can think of are the 2 apothecaries and maybe some of the bars in town.
That makes sense to me.
But maybe we should start with the apothecaries because, like, I mean, if it was a potion and he was poisoned, then that would be important versus just, like, being drunk.
The DM is nodding very emphatically, so
I'm listening along. I'm clicking through documents. I'm also nodding at the chat where someone said CSI Faerun. Or CSI Greyhawk. Fun fact though, I'm not using Faerun or Greyhawk. I've just sort of made this all up out of my own brain. So
Right.
for better
CSI Arda.
CSI Arda.
Let's I guess run back to Elsa at Potions and Notions and just start with her.
Okay.
Sounds good to me.
I imagine that CSI Arda has that same like yellow filter that they use in CSI Miami. Like it's very like feels
And we
like
definitely need
I
someone
was
to
just
make
gonna
fun.
say we all like put down sunglasses and they're just
I love it.
This murder case better get a cork in it pretty soon.
As the 4 of you come walking out of the alley, everything slows down, and you do like the slow-mo walk with your capes billowing behind you.
Yep, we're doing the hero walk.
Yeah. As you come out of the alley, though, could I have everybody make a perception check?
oh no.
Oh no! What's oh no?
Because the DM just said make a perception check.
At least he didn't tell us to roll initiative.
I know, right? You're that paranoid already, though, huh?
That is true. But I got a 21.
14 plus 6. Which is
I
20.
got
Wow.
10 plus whatever I have in.
17.
Shut up, Joe.
Wisdom, Joe.
13. I am still not very perceptive.
The group as a whole was very perceptive, though. So as y'all are coming out of the alley, you see, I mentioned there was a tea house, kind of, that you had to walk past to get in here. And you notice a woman standing kind of on the stoop of the tea house, and she's got long, lustrous, chocolate brown hair, and sort of like golden brown eyes. But what's most striking about her is that she's got a very fine-boned face and ears that come to points in the back. Kind of like Lucanus's.
Cedric's like, get him out.
She just looks like a chin from me.
Yeah. She's
Yeah,
got
as we're
great-looking
walking
knees.
by.
Yeah.
See, I mean, but no, it's just like we're kind of. I don't know. Are we? Fletcher notices, and he's extremely interested, but we're also trying to like rush off to the apothecary. So I don't think I say anything because of reasons that Sheryl kind of knows about what Fletcher's been thinking about, but I'm not going to say.
Okay.
Very mysterious.
Secrets are no fun.
Lucanus looks over, notices the woman, and he's like, "Oh, holy shit, another elf!" So that happened, and he just rushes off to follow Fletcher.
If this was written down on paper, I'd take the adventure hook and like crumple it up and throw it in the Cool. See ya.
Well, I mean, I sent you that thing about his history.
Yeah,
and,
no, that's totally fair, man.
So to be clear, did you like make eye contact and give her one of those like?
No, Lucanus is he is very hesitant to interact with other elves.
Is your hood up?
Yep. It's always up.
Okay, cool.
She just looks like another tall person to me.
Okay.
Wait, no, I wanted to go talk to her.
Well, yeah. What are you
Why?
doing?
Whose brother is in jail?
But she's like right there. She might have seen something. 2 minutes.
All right, fine. So,
All right, I stopped.
So I run over to her, like, hello.
Hello. So you see again the woman I described. She's wearing a beautiful high-necked gown, and her very pointy ears have these very, very pretty dangling earrings set with gemstones where the color sort of shifts as she moves her head. And she looks at you and says, "Oh, hello. How can I help you?"
Hi. I was just wondering. Well, first of all, I really like your earrings. They're really pretty.
Oh, thank you. They're from the Fae.
Oh, that's really cool. Actually, you'll have to tell me about that sometime. But I don't mean to be in a rush or anything. But I kind of am in a rush. But how late are you open? And did you see anything mysterious happen in that alleyway over there? With, like, a murder, maybe?
Oh, the murder. That was really mysterious, wasn't it? No, I don't keep my shop open very late at night. There are other things going on here in the district at that time of night, and I was already closed by the time the theater show was running, so I wasn't around, unfortunately. It would have been quite scandalous, I'm sure. Yeah. No, I don't really know anything about what happened. No. Are you working for the town guard?
No, it's just that my brother's been convicted of the murder, but he definitely didn't do it, so, trying to clear his name and stuff.
Oh, well that's quite a quandary you've got yourself, I suppose. Yeah. I wish you luck with solving that problem.
Well, thanks. If you hear of anything, see you around maybe.
Of course.
If you hear of anything, my family owns the general store. And
oh, you're one of the Prowell kids. That's wonderful.
Yes, one of them. Well, thank you.
Of course.
Bye.
And my name's Kirla, in case you ever feel like stopping by again.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll definitely want some tea after all of this is over.
Yes, well, I have all kinds of lovely teas and little snacks to enjoy them with, so stop by anytime.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Boink, boink, boink.
Boink?
Boink. I don't know. All right, to the apothecary.
All right.
All right, what apothecary are you going to?
Probably Elsa, since we know her.
Yeah, Elsa is first.
Going to Potions and Notions.
How much more time do we have before we need to be at the Greens again?
It's getting towards evening time, so depends.
I think if we can take, let's go for as long as the shops are open. Mm-hmm. And we can assume that the Greens will be there tonight, so we can show up later.
Yeah,
So,
he said like after dinner.
Okay.
So refresh my memory from, we'll just say battle fatigue in the context of my character. Why are we going to the Greens again?
So he basically invited us back, and Hudson. So I guess we could do this in character. Yeah, I know you weren't really paying attention earlier, but so Hudson implied you were keeping an eye out earlier. That Hudson implied that there was somebody who was potentially blackmailing him or coercing him into pressuring his daughter to keep quiet about the murder and about her witness or about her alibiing out Jay. He seemed to imply that it was associated with his business interests, which is why Fletcher and I went to the bar earlier to do a lot of snooping into that area.
Yeah, how'd that work out? Did you guys get any info on that?
We got some leads, which I will tell you about later. But for now, the important thing is that Hudson,
Hudson said that he was going to follow up with whoever it was who was pressuring him, maybe get some more information into that, maybe see if he could work a way into helping us clear Jay's name, and then we were going to check back with him after he'd kind of like done that kind of.
Yeah,
Maybe.
sometime, this all has to happen sometime before, like, tomorrow, when my brother will be unceremoniously murdered.
Well,
Okay,
the trial is tomorrow. He's not getting hanged tomorrow, but yeah.
Awesome.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes it so much better.
All right. Cool. I just needed a bit of a refresher. Sorry.
Well,
Cool.
Kay,
This is cool to you.
Kay,
I'm sorry.
to be fair, Kay, if he gets convicted, then obviously we would have justification for doing a jailbreak. But until then, we have to try and move this through the legal system. But I think we would be justified in breaking him out of jail if he were to be wrongly accused. So,
Lucanus pulls a hammer out of his backpack. Just in case we need to do a jailbreak, I have this. Then he puts it back in.
I mean, I would
Okay,
prefer
so-
to have his name just cleared so you can continue, like, living in the town. I
That
mean, he
makes
has enough
complete
problems
sense.
here anyway, but
I think we need
like,
to put as much of our faith in the rule of law as possible. But
you hate this town. You have no faith in our rule of law.
I have faith in the rule of law, but as I have been provided ample evidence, this town does not have much in the way of rules or laws. So if your sad excuse for a justice system fails us, then we will step in and met out our own justice.
Lucanus gets real up close and personal. Remember, that lack of rule and law is why I have a job.
But you're doing the like stare down on him thing.
Yeah. Like
Joe
I'm
just keeps
looking
bending over.
down on him, obviously trying to get him to shut up because he's kind of being an asshole. But at the same time, I might be saying the wrong thing too.
Wait, you have a job? How did you get a job? We've been here for like 3 days.
I'm a mercenary. I've been paid, so I guess
Oh.
I'm walking around fighting people and getting money from it. That counts as a job, right?
That's true. I did pay you. I guess that counts as a job.
Yeah.
Ryan.
Jay just turns around and like walks away silently.
Who's carrying the winter blanket bag?
I'm still holding it,
Okay.
so I'm following Kay.
Okay. Oh my god.
And we head towards Potions and Notions.
You head towards Potions and Notions. Are we having any
Yeah.
more walking and talking, or you guys just want to be in the
I hope-
Well, that conversation was like we were having that on the way.
There's now
Yeah.
frosty silence among the group.
Alrighty. Yeah, so you make it back to the adorable exterior and interior of Potions and Notions, and there you see Elsa behind the counter, and she looks up when the ding 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 on the bell of the door, and oh hi, you're back.
Hi.
Ahoy!
How are you all today?
Kind of struggling, to be honest.
Oh no.
But maybe you could help.
Oh, I'd love to if I can.
I put it on the counter and open it up to show the glass and the cork.
Mm.
Does this,
Janice is just standing up there, like straightening up, like he's proud.
like, do you like recognize this at all? Like, do you know like this glass or this cork or like?
Well, I mean, it looks, I don't want to disappoint, but it looks like
Looks like glass.
some glass, and, without being able to see the shape that it was in, I don't know how much I could tell you, and the cork is just sort of a cork. She waves her hand to gesture at, like, all of the bottles of potions and things in her shop, which they've all got pretty standard-looking corks in them, right? But let me take a closer look and see what I can see. Is there anyone in your group, any of you who are especially familiar with arcane type things? You might want to give me a hand looking at all this. I don't know if you already inspected it, but
This one.
Lucanus points at Fletcher.
Yeah, I'm pointing the Fletcher as well.
I can certainly help however I can.
Okay, so I will have you roll me, so you're investigating the glass and the cork, and she's going to do the same. And basically you're going to roll a knowledge arcana for me. And see if you can figure out if there's anything on here, what it might be. So it'll sort of be both, like, I'm using it as a proxy for, like, searching and knowing.
14.
14. Okay. So as you and she are sort of looking at all of the pieces, of glass, flipping them back and forth, it's glass, so there isn't a whole lot of anything left on there. But the cork, you notice kind of like a little bit of discoloration on one side of the cork and point it out to her, and Elsa sort of looks more carefully at the cork, and she sort of sniffs it and touches it and sort of rubs the residue between her fingers and goes,
She's a geologist.
Yeah, right, and she's not gonna lick it. No, no licking. No licking. And that would be bad because she goes, that's odd. I think if all of these pieces go together, well, at least this cork, I think it might have held alchemist's fire.
What is that?
So Fletcher, you would definitely know this, and the rest of you might be, like, at least passingly familiar. So alchemist's fire is a concoction that's fairly commonly used in this world in terms of, like, combat stuff. So basically it's a mixture of chemicals that's in a sealed glass jar that when or bottle, and when the bottle is thrown at something and the glass breaks and the chemical mixture is exposed to the air, it bursts into flame.
Oh, it's a Molotov cocktail.
Sort of. But there are definitely equivalencies to that in real life. There are lots of fun chemicals that if they're exposed to oxygen or anything else like that, just sort of spontaneously combust, which is super fun. So, alchemist fire. Super fun.
Is there anyone in the
potassium
town
from their
that
undergrad
produces and provides alchemist's fire for sale?
I think Pops probably does. And I mean, this is something that you could buy in a lot of places. Like, this isn't something that's an expert required in order to produce it. I've seen alchemist fire sold in lots of places before.
Is there...
Is it common around here?
I mean, people like yourselves who do a lot of adventuring type things like to carry it because it's good for dealing with creatures that might be especially sensitive to fire, or for other times when you might want to light things on fire. I don't know. I just make this stuff.
I mean, it does sound awesome, to be fair. I feel like every 16-year-old boy with a couple of silver to his name would want to buy some and just throw it at rocks.
Yeah, right.
Well, Kay, do you know where this Pops shop is?
Do I know where this pop shop is?
Do you know where Bubble and Fizz is?
That name sounds familiar, actually. So probably. It's in that giant document you sent me.
Yeah. It is number 38.
Number 38. Yes, I do.
Yes, I do.
Hark!
Well, I think we should head straight over that way.
All right.
Thank you so much for your help again, Elsa.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Elsa.
Oh, and I don't know if you had said something about going out and exploring in the out there. And you did such a great job finding that gildaweed not that long ago. I didn't know if you were going out again, but I can always use ingredients for the things I make. So if you happen to come across any spiders and you were able to bring back spider parts, I would gladly pay you for them.
All right.
Just give us a list and we'd be happy to grab them. You wouldn't happen to have like an an envelope that we can put this stuff in, do you?
An envelope? Let me see. And she sort of rummages around down in the behind the counter area, and she's like, well, I've got a piece of paper that you could fold up into something, I guess. So she hands you a piece of parchment-y, papery, whateverness.
Yeah,
I
Cedric
make
used to
all
do
of
that.
my envelope here.
Yeah. In school, Cedric used to do those things where you like fold like the notes that you pass like into like interesting shapes. Yeah, so he can fold an envelope, origami envelope.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
So
and like I said...
Lucanus puts the winter.
Oh. Put the blanket back?
Lucanus puts the winter blanket back in his pack.
So, yes, I'm perfectly happy to help as always. And yes, if you find any spider parts or really sort of anything interesting that you might find outside in terms of, animal or plant parts, I can probably use them for something.
Sounds good. Thanks, Elsa.
Thank you so
All right,
much.
Well, thank you.
We'll keep a lookout.
And good luck with whatever it is you're doing.
So out of character, she just is just bits of spiders, just whatever species, just throw them in a box for me, whatever.
I wrote down live spiders or parts of spiders.
Oh.
She's not picky.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, think about old-timey...
I wonder what would happen.
Huh?
I wonder what would happen if we just brought Peter Parker back to her. Spider-Man.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about old-timey potion making, bits of whatever will be thrown in, right? Eye of Newton, tongue of blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, we should have a conversation about Pliny the Elder at some point.
Oh my gosh.
That was my favorite thing to translate in Latin class.
Oh yeah.
Okay, where are we going now?
Bubble and Fizz.
Oh,
Bubble.
yes.
You got it.
Or the place next to Bubble and Fizz. Oh, I thought it was next to Bubble. Is it Bubble and Fizz?
No, it's Bubble and Fizz, yeah.
Oh, okay.
She just called it Pops.
Pops owns it.
Yes. You are correct.
Let's go see Pops.
Go see Pops. So Kay leads you over to number 38 on the map, which coincidentally is next to the armorer weaponsmith, where Cedric and Fletcher sold some things the other day.
Oh, not the one that we just made friends with, but the one, the
other one.
If you look
the
carefully,
wrong one.
if you look carefully, you'll see that there's this apothecary that you're moving toward, and then if you were looking, if you're facing it and you're looking, so left would be towards the bay and the docks. So there's the apothecary, and then left of that is the shop that you went into to sell your weapons, and then to the left of that is a blacksmith, and then there's the docks.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Guys, don't make enemies to the weapons places. I need to sell whatever we grab.
We actually made a really good contact earlier with a really reputable young dwarf weaponsmith.
Well, he's not young. He's older than you, but yeah.
Just kid.
We should definitely take all of our business to him.
Are you saying that just because it was a dwarf?
No, the other one is a dwarf too. I mean, I'm not going to recommend that Lucanus take any blacksmithing business to a human.
Whoa.
Lucanus whispers to Kay, I think he's a little bit dwarfist.
Everyone's a little bit dwarfist, it's true. Alright, so you're going toward Bubble and Fizz. So this storefront is largely unassuming and unremarkable.
That's how I want my business to be known as.
Save for the large wooden sign hanging above the door. It depicts a few potion bottles of various sizes, shapes, and colors. But if you only look at it in your periphery, you could almost swear there were bubbles drifting slowly from the lips of all of the wooden carved bottles on this sign.
Oh, Ardenian neon. Very nice.
So yeah, only if you're doing that weird where you're looking at it but you're not looking at it. It seems like there might be bubbles coming out of something that isn't a hollow vessel. Neat. Are you planning on going inside?
Yep.
I assume so.
Okay.
Yep, let's do it.
Kay, who has already crashed into one door today, decides to like gently push it open.
Okay. The first thing you notice as you step into this shop is the smell. Or rather, smells. Your senses are bombarded by a variety of scents all mixed up and wafting through the air. This is especially noticeable because the interior is low lit, as there are no windows, and only a magical light seems to be hovering about the space. Metal racks stand in mostly neat rows. They're circular rings, each cradling a potion bottle, almost like wine racks. The bottles contain an astonishing variety of colored liquids. A broad counter hugs 3 of the 4 interior walls. So it's basically, a counter in like a U shape with the only wall that doesn't have counter on it being the one with the door that you just came in. And that whole floor area is just filled with metal racks with potion bottles in them.
It's kind of like a Chipotle or a Jimmy John's.
Except this is full of alchemical, samples,
Warfare?
so it's less likely to give you food poisoning.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's more like a liquor store in New York City, where it's just counters and bulletproof windows all the way around when you walk in.
Yep, that too.
Is there? Do we see somebody working when we walk in?
Not immediately.
All right. I'm guessing Nancy has the envelope of stuff.
Yes.
Or Kay, rather.
Yes.
Nancy has nothing.
Nancy has nothing.
I could have an envelope of stuff. Knock.
What?
Hi.
And you see, sort of float up to sort of crest over the counter and come down to stand on the floor in front of you. This, man? He's about 4 feet tall and has a humanoid-ish body shape, although it's sort of shifting and flowing even as he stands relatively still. He seems to be made out of water?
Cool.
And he looks at you for a moment and goes, hey, Pops! And then you hear some grumbling and over the countertop, a little in a different part of the room, up pops the head of a gnome. He has dark brown skin and wavy blonde hair combed back. He's got a sharply pointed and impeccably groomed goatee and sort of odd green-blue eyes. And he's wearing, you can mostly only see his head right now because he's down behind the counter. As he's climbing up, he seems to be wearing sort of a royal blue shirt, robe, something you'll see if you see the rest of his body. It doesn't seem to be especially, fancy, but it is, if you are able to see that far, it's got a very fine embroidered pattern with thread the same color as the cloth. So it's this sort of, subtle patterning. And the gnome says, hi! How can I help you?
Hi, friend. Well, it's complicated, but we have this envelope of broken glass that happened to have alchemist fire in it, and we were wondering if maybe you sold it.
It's a pretty good possibility, I guess. I sell a lot of alchemist fire in this city. I'm assuming you found the glass here in the city?
Yeah, you remember that guy got murdered?
Oh, yeah.
There. We found it there.
You found it there. What were you doing there?
It's complicated.
The man made out of water is moving closer to you and just sort of peering at you. He's getting uncomfortably close.
Cedric reaches out to poke him.
And the gnome, as he's sort of elbowing his way up to stand on this countertop, he says, Fluvis, be nice. They're trying to poke me. I hate it when they poke me.
I did not try and poke you. Only he tried to poke you, and he is definitely the most rude out of all of us. So don't worry. Anyway,
I apologize.
So we were there because, well, like, my brother is on trial for murdering someone he didn't murder, and so we're trying to find evidence to clear his name.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what we found.
So the gnome, like, hops down off the other side of the counter, so now he's on, like, the main floor with you as well, and he comes over and, let me see what you've got.
I, like, hand him the envelope.
So he takes just even a moment. It doesn't take him as long as Fletcher and Elsa were working on it. And, oh, yeah, that's definitely alchemist fire. But as far as, like, who made it or where it came from, no idea.
I'm guessing all the bottles look the same and all the corks are the same, too.
Pretty much. I mean, this is, you know, you buy bottles from a glass blower and you buy corks from, you know.
You know, just as someone who works in a general store, y'all might want to work on your marketing. Just saying.
He kind of like, he tilts his head like very far to one side and is like, I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Branded corks, you know, it's, you know,
yeah, or like
bottles.
pretty bottles, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because if you had a really pretty bottle, I mean, like, in this case, it would explode. But in other things, like, people might line their shops and stuff with pretty bottles.
That's true.
So
everybody's got their own priorities.
I suppose they do.
So, Pops, did you know Timothy Prendergast? Do you know the victim at all? Like
Timothy who?
The guy who was murder-fied.
Nope. Can't say that I do. Fluvis is now trying to poke you back, Cedric. He's like doing the, like, his finger is like almost at your face, but he's not actually touching you.
Cedric leans forward, like, slowly to see what it feels like.
So yeah, he's just doing the thing where, like, it's hovering and he's not actually touching you. He's just, you know, moves it.
Oh, okay, I can feel it on my forehead. It's super irritating. Cedric's like...
Like, if you were to, like, throw alchemist fire at someone, like, what would it... Like, would it just burn them?
Oh, yeah. Horribly. Like, that's nasty stuff if you got it on...
Them?
Huh?
Would it kill them?
I suppose it depends on who they are. But it definitely wouldn't feel good.
I don't know. Just, like... I don't know. Was it used in self-defense? Was it used to, like, murder the person? Like,
That's a great question. I have no idea.
Great. I guess we don't know either. But thanks so much for your help. Fletcher, do you have any other ideas? Since, you know, you dabble in this magic-y stuff.
Are there any other tests or spells or anything you could recommend that we could do to mend the bottle back together, to see with the shape of it, to, I don't know, is there some kind of homing spell that it could lead us back to where it originated?
I mean, she said you're a dabbler in magic, which, first of all, good work. But I mean, you might know as well as I do. I don't know of any spells like that. But magic as a pursuit, definitely worth your while.
I now feel like I took up the wrong profession with the crossbow.
I actually, now that you mention it, I actually do have the ability to mend small objects.
As you say that, Fluvis's finger does just, like, boop you on the cheek, and it's very wet.
It's very wet. Okay.
Just now? Just now you remembered? But, you know, that's fine. Better now than, you know, never, I suppose. So, sorry.
It didn't occur to me that that's what we were trying to do. I thought maybe we were, like, trying to look at the, you know, chemical composition of the glass to see if it had any, like, you know, what the aluminum to silica ratio was, or to see if it had any cobalt in it, or something like that. I'm not.
She is not amused.
I'm just speed on these criminal activities.
All right, well, then can you stop wasting time by talking and actually just put it back together then?
Cedric, just heal the damn bottle.
How big an object does that spell work on?
I don't know. I've never cast mending in this version before. Mending repairs small breaks or tears in objects. It will weld broken metallic objects such as a ring, a chain link, a medallion, or a slender dagger, providing but one break exists. Ceramic or wooden objects with multiple breaks can be invisibly rejoined to be as strong as new. A hole in a leather sack or a wineskin is completely healed over by mending. The spell can repair a magic item if the item's magical properties are not restored. Spell cannot mend broke magic, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, so the thing about the ceramic, it would allow you to reform this bottle, provided you have all the pieces.
Okay. I'm gonna... reach my hands out for the, hold my hands out. I assume all the pieces are in K. K has all the pieces?
Yeah.
Hold my hands out, gimme. Alright, you drop a bunch of broken glass into my hand, and I hold...
We're good friends.
I cup my hands around the spell, and I hold it against my face, and I kind of... pray.
You hear this oh in the background
for a second, and then I open my hands back up.
Mm-hmm. And there is most of a bottle. It looks like there's kind of a chunk missing in the neck that maybe you didn't have all the pieces, but it's mostly the shape of a glass bottle.
I hold it out to Kay.
Ta-da. Ta-da. I'm assuming this just looks like a normal glass bottle, lots of glass bottles.
Pops peers at it and, That was a neat trick, though. Nice work.
Cool story, bro.
Nice work.
Thanks. The more it is the god of the forge, it would be silly of me not to be able to reforge an object.
It would be obscene. Yeah. But you did a nice job.
Thanks.
Wow. Cedric might actually have made a friend. All right, team. I don't know.
Thank you for all your assistance.
Is that it?
Yeah, that was it.
Oh. You didn't want to buy anything?
Not today.
But we're
in a bit of a hurry, but we'll be in the market for some health potions sooner or later. How much are they?
Oh boy. What level were you looking for?
1 to 2.
1 to 2, he says. You mean like a light wounds or a moderate wounds? Is that what you meant?
Oh yeah, sorry.
Yeah. Cure light wounds is 50 gold per, and a cure moderate wounds is 300 gold per.
All right.
And I got lots of other cool stuff too.
All right.
What do you recommend? What's your coolest thing that you have?
It really depends what you're in the mood for. And Fluvus sort of he doesn't really walk. He kind of float walks over to you and gives you a wet elbow and says, "Oh well, I mean, a young lady like yourself here with all these gentlemen, you might want an elixir of love, or maybe you don't. Maybe you already got that covered."
Yeah, I was looking more to murderize my enemies in battle, but
murder,
of course, something that I would definitely want as well.
If you're into murderizing, we've got magic stone oil. We've got potion of blur. We've got an elixir of stealth. All kinds of fun stuff.
All right, that's cool. Yeah. Keep you in mind. We're adventurers after all of this, murder mystery stuff. So we'll probably be back.
I can tell from the blood on this guy's shirt.
Yeah, we keep telling you. You don't have anything that can get that out, do you?
I mean, and the water guy just kind of holds up his arms, have you tried washing it?
Yes, I did try washing it.
Then I don't know. I don't really wear clothes.
Maybe you should just get a new shirt, Cedric. We can't take you anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, what are the chances that someone would bleed on me twice? That's a good point.
No, you would just have one battle, like, blood-soaked shirt for battle, and one shirt that you'd wear around the town so you look acceptable.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely want to look respectable. That's fair.
Yeah. You probably also don't want to, like, be asking people questions about sensitive things with, you know, a giant blood stain on your shirt.
The tall guy does have a point.
This could be like a sauce or something.
It's definitely not a sauce unless you like. All right.
Is it really that obvious?
It's really that obvious.
Oh.
And I don't even, the blood is not a thing I deal with very often. It is.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Pops.
Of course, yeah, come back anytime.
Will do.
Lucanus, like, raises his hand for a fist bump.
From whom?
From Pops.
He's 3 feet tall.
Oh. He realized that and awkwardly withdraws his fist.
I thought you said he was 4 feet tall.
He's what?
I thought you said he was 4 feet tall.
The water guy, Floofus,
the water.
is 4 feet tall.
Maybe that's what I remember.
Pops is 3 feet tall.
Yeah. Lucanus in this case would essentially be like punching down and still not reaching.
Ah.
So what's the name of the shop again?
This is Bubble and Fizz.
Bubble and Fizz.
Okay, Pops Bubble and Fizz sounds like an off-brand.
Well, Bubble and Fizz.
You didn't ask for his full name. That's just that's just one part of his name.
Snap, crackle, and pop.
Yeah.
Do we
Come back again, day or night.
So now what? Do we just head to the Green's house now? What? I feel like no one is. I feel like we're not getting any information about this bottle.
Yeah, let's head to the Green's house. You know, if this Green fellow doesn't work out or ends up dead or something, we can always just try to figure out who this Prendergast guy is.
Yeah, is it? I wasn't actually here when we heard the name Prendergast. Is that Kay? Is that a gentleman that your brother is familiar with?
I've never heard of him before.
So as far as you know, your brother would have no reason to murder him.
No.
I don't think her brother would have a reason to murder anyone. He seems like a good
Thank
guy.
you. Thank you, Lucanus.
Aww.
I mean, I don't really know him that well.
And we don't really know you that well either. Who knows? Maybe you murdered him.
That's a fair point. Yeah, I feel like
oddly suspicious that he shows up dead right around the same time that you lot all come in.
You know, I'm actually really surprised that you know, there's a guy who turns up dead and nobody even thinks about the guy with the giant fucking blood stain on his shirt.
That is true.
No, but to be fair, he was burned to death, and
do we know? That's the thing. The only thing we heard is that his body was grisly. So maybe he was murdered and then the stuff was thrown to cover up what actually happened to him. Or maybe...
That's right, go ahead.
Or maybe, like, they actually threw the stuff and that's what killed him. But, like, it doesn't sound like that stuff would actually kill you. It just sounds like it would disfigure you enough to, like, you know, be painful if you're alive or, you know, cover up damage. Or maybe it was thrown in self-defense at the other guy. So maybe we should look around for a burn victim.
Do we know how Prendergast died?
No, all I've heard in town is that it was, quote, grisly.
Wait, I thought we had heard that he had been burned and that was why your brother was suspected, because your brother has the ability to breathe fire?
Right.
I'm saying this out of character because I don't actually... Cedric doesn't know that, but I thought that was part of the implication. It's that he's a Dragonborn or part Dragonborn and might be able to...
So
Can
then
they
it might
breathe
be...
fire?
So then it might be a case of dragon racism then. Dragonism?
It's just racism. It's just, it doesn't get a special name if it's against a certain group.
I mean, this is D&D. I don't know how the rules work in this universe. Like,
it could be speciesism because they are different species.
Yeah,
rather than
yeah.
races,
It's
but-
oddly similar to the real world.
We're not different species, not according to the biological species concept, because we produce fertile offspring.
Yeah.
yes.
I mean, can your brother have kids?
That's
No,
a valid point.
but he came from somewhere. So
See, and
someone
Cedric's the rude one? Come on, man.
Like now you guys have me thinking about like pre-zygotic and post-zygotic speciation.
Dragonborn are fertile according to the lore.
Yeah.
And Ryan and I looked this up once. So Dragonborn reproduce via eggs, but female Dragonborn actually have breasts, but they're a secondary sexual characteristic to mimic mammalian breasts.
This feels like
They're
the
not-
mermaid conversation.
Yeah,
I
I
know.
already have this.
Oh, maybe we did.
We talked about it with mermaids, not with dragonborn.
Do they have
or half-dragons.
cloaca?
But do they have cloaca? They have tails. But to throw that whole species concept for a loop, that means that technically elves and dwarves and gnomes and halflings and orcs and humans are all the same species, because you can have like a half elf or a half orc or whatever. So
And then can they produce fertile offspring
Yeah.
after that?
yeah.
Yeah. So we're all the same.
We're all the same.
So it is racism.
Species is a social construct.
What is a species anyway? Species don't exist.
To be fair, though, you can have like a clinal variation where like either end of a genetic range can't interbreed, but so it could be that humans are just kind of the central genetic.
Almost
You know,
like
hub there.
almost like there was geographic separation on this planet, and like dwarves were on a separate continent from humans and a separate continent from elves. What?
Now I'm just thinking about.
Or living
that
underground might be some kind of
Living
geographic
underground.
barrier.
Yeah.
Now I'm just thinking about the fact that the dragons in this world have mammary glands, and my mind's going.
No, not mammary glands.
Boobs.
Breasts as a secondary sexual characteristic. They mimic human form, but not actually. They can't actually lactate.
Oh, they're just booby mimics. They don't produce milk. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So do they have hair?
I don't think Dragonborn have hair.
Dragonborn don't have hair.
Okay.
And
Do
neither
the
do
Aren't
dragonborn
Goliath, I
have
scales
think.
fire?
just like made out of keratin? Isn't they made of the same thing as hair? So
Yeah.
we're going to classify the two.
I guess that's true. They are all dermal derivatives.
Unless they're like
Keratin.
Now,
sharks.
now, do
or
dragon
whatever.
boobs? Do dragon boobs make fire, or like?
They just store fat.
Okay.
They're like a a Gila monster's tail or whatever. They're just
they-
for,
or a camel's hump?
Can I
Yeah.
snarkily point out that comment was made by a man?
Yes,
I'm
it was.
sorry.
Right?
That doesn't mean I didn't enjoy it, though.
I mean, it's a glandular tissue, and if they have,
They don't have glands in there. He just read that twice. You just want fire tits. And
Now I want fire tits.
That's going on a t-shirt.
with a dragon spraying fire at it.
Except it's that
Okay.
was it the dragon from Homestar Runner? What's it called? I can't remember.
So for our younger listeners, Homestar Runner was a website that existed.
There's nobody watching right now who's young enough to not know
Yes.
Homestar Runner.
Oh my god.
The Trogdor. Thank you, chat.
Yes. Burninating the country.
Okay, let's
Moving on.
move on to the Greens. Let's move on to the Greens house before I dig myself into a deeper hole with the dragon thing.
Well, I was going to ask you, so we have been playing for about 3 hours, so would you like to keep going with this storyline, or would you like to save it for next time?
Can we end it on a cliffhanger? What happens when we arrive at the Greens house?
Oh, sure, yeah, let's,
Yeah, let's
We'll
just
take you to the
arrive
Greens
at,
house
let's just
and-
arrive at the Greens house and
Sure. We can do that. Yeah, so you guys, are you going straight there from Bubble and Fizz?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. We're
Okay.
going straight there.
Yeah, so it's definitely evening time-ish now. So you head up to the Green's house, and is anybody knocking on the door or anything?
I'll knock
We're
on the
all,
door.
we're all knocking on the door.
All at the same time?
We all, you know how people do like that hand thing?
Yeah.
Except for
We
Joe.
all do
Joe
that
is-
and knock in unison.
Joe is using his fire tits to burn down.
Joe is, not Lucanus, Joe.
Hi, everybody. I'm Joe.
The four characters turn and look at this random human like, who are you?
And then just out of my pectoral muscles, flames erupt.
Oh, jeez.
And then I look over at Lucanus, make eye contact, and say, "Hey, I play you in the real world." And
That's
disappear.
weird. Lucanus is
I
just
know. So, Sheryl, I know you said you've got this campaign planned out to level 20.
Yeah.
Is the level 20 big bad evil guy Joe with fire tits?
like, now it's going. I'm rewriting everything right now.
I want to kill Joe.
I'm rewriting it all.
God,
Um,
there is going to be a boss with fire tits at some point. No, I know that.
Probably. All right, so your extremely loud 4 or 8 hand knocking on the door does eventually summon the same butler that you met the first time you knocked on this door earlier today, and he says, "Oh, hi, you're back."
Hi, we're back.
And he
We're back.
he reshuts the door and just leaves you standing on the stoop.
Oh.
And then, a minute later, the door reopens and it's Janet again. "Oh, hi! Oh, I'm so glad you're here. Come on
We are
in."
glad that you came out and didn't leave us awkwardly sitting on your stoop.
Yeah, he's, never mind. Come on in.
Thanks, friend.
Hi, Janet.
And, so she leads you back down the hallway, back to her father's office where you met him earlier in the day. And she says, "Papa's inside. Thank you so much for trying to help Jay. I really appreciate it. And,
He is my brother, so I want to do everything I can.
Yeah, I understand, and I'm sorry that this had to be so complicated, but I'm looking forward to being able to tell my side of the story to make sure that he's safe."
Thank you.
And she just sort of gestures at the door, says, "You guys can go on in."
Cedric
Okay.
pushes the door open.
Cedric pushes the door open. So in the study or the office, you see the same interior that you saw this morning. So Hudson is sitting at the desk with his elbows on the desk, sort of resting his chin on top of his hands. Are you all going inside?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so you all go inside, and whoever's in last sort of shuts the door behind you. And you see out of the corner of your eye as the door closes, there's someone sitting in a chair to the left of the door, kind of behind where you all filed in. So you see a human female of indeterminate age with long blue-black hair that she has in a thick braid down her back and wrapped with a leather, almost like a sheath, right? It's a leather wrapping around her braid. Her black eyes are thin and almond-shaped and look well in her almost elvish face. She is perhaps 5.5 feet tall, but still somehow manages to command the room. And that, I guess, is where we will end on our cliffhanger. Da, da, da! So yeah, you guys have done all sorts of forensic things and gathered all sorts of information, and now you are back in Hudson's office and going to have a conversation with him and whoever this other person is about being able to clear Jay Prowell's name and save his life so that he doesn't get murderated.
We're gonna have to kill this person. I'm saying.
When are we playing again next? because I forget to read and calendars are hard.
We will be live not next Saturday, but the Saturday after next. So on September 28th, we will be live again. Same not so great time, same great channel.
Perfect.
Back to figure out hopefully the conclusion to this murder mystery.
Dun dun dun.
Dun dun dun. Yeah.
And if not, we burn the town to the ground.
With my
Those
fire
pit.
tits.
Wow. Does anybody, bye Xander, does anybody in the chat have any final questions for our players, our cast this evening? Quick, type them in now. Cast members, any final thoughts? Or anything else you'd like to plug?
No, this next branch of the campaign looks like it's going to be really fun and dramatic, and I'm looking forward to it.
Woo.
We'll get out into the island.
Yeah. As soon as we're done with this murder mystery, you guys can actually go adventure out into Arda, which is going to be exceptionally fun. And that's good because once they started venturing into Arda, the wider wilds of Arda, they'll be just in time for the live show that we're going to be doing actually live in person. It'll be the first time that this group of people will sit down and play D&D at the same table. It's going to be great. And that table will be in the Urban Chestnut Brewing Company's Grove Beer Hall party room on November 16th. We will be in St. Louis at Urban Chestnut Brewing on Saturday, November 16th, playing Dungeons & Dragons. There will be beer discounts for people who come in and enjoy the game with us, and we'll still be live streaming that game on Twitch and Periscope if you're not able to join us. But please do if you can, if you're in the St. Louis area for some reason, and feel like some Dungeons & Dragons on your Saturday evening, especially if you happen to be in St. Louis trapped without anything better to do because you're about to start participating in the Entomological Society of America's annual conference. So that's
Or just escape the Entomological Collections Network,
Sure.
which is right before then.
that too.
Yep.
or even if you're not participating in the Entomological Society of America conference, come down, get some drink discounts, and meet some amazing scientists.
That too, yes. There will be lots of scientists. But at that special show, we will have not one but two guest players. So they will be playing denizens of Arda that our player characters will encounter and interact with during the game. So it'll be a super fun time, and we hope that you will catch that game and all of the ones in between now and then. So yes, the next time we will be live on this channel playing like this will be Saturday, September 28th. War Yoshi has a question for the cast. He says, or they say, extremely random question, but does anyone know how much force a millipede leg can produce?
Ooh, that's a Derek Hennon question.
It is a Derek Hennon question.
No, I do know there's a phorid fly that specifically attacks millipedes through their legs when they break, and then enters the body cavity and then eats them from the inside out, and then you find like the little ringed exoskeleton bits around. I had found those in the jungle, and I was like, what happened to these millipedes? And I read about it in a book.
That's
millipedes.
That's all I know about millipede legs.
I don't know exactly how much force millipedes legs can produce, but I don't believe they're especially strong because when they dig, they essentially use their head as a chisel, and they don't, like centipedes, they'll handle prey with that, and like the softer bodied prey, they can actually like stab through with their legs. Like those legs are deceptively strong. They can, they can like immobilize a mouse with their legs because they're hunters. But millipedes, I think they just pretty much do everything with their heads, and their legs are just sort of
for walking.
Not very strong. Yeah, legs were made for walking.
Yeah, I mean,
that's what they'll do.
Yeah, I mean, millipedes have so many legs that each individual one is probably very, very weak. I would assume it would have to be just the tiniest little amount of pressure.
But what about an aggregate? What about an aggregate?
Well, I mean, it's going to depend, right? Like species, size, like, or are you talking about like downward force? Like that's going to depend on body weight, right? Like, I mean, is it like, what is the, pushing force,
Yeah, that like 8-foot millipede that used to exist way back when. I could imagine packed a punch or a kick, as the case may be.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be. It's going to depend on a lot of factors. I mean, just like the size of the leg is going to influence the amount of force. I mean, like just mechanical advantage. Longer lever can can do more.
But overall, I would imagine that like each individual leg would be a fairly weak thing. Like they're not, if you hold like a salad beetle in your hand, or any sort of burrowing insect, when it reaches the fold on your fingers, you're gonna feel it burrowing through, and those legs are pretty strong, because they can wedge themselves in the area between your fingers. But millipedes can't do that, not with their legs. So
they can hold on pretty good though. Like
they can.
Like the big flat-backed ones that live here, like it's hard to pull them off of things when they cling down.
That's true.
Well, something that's the difference between like a grip force and a pushing force. They may have very good grip force, especially in tandem with all of those legs. And you figure arthropods, all their force is being generated hydraulically in the body, and so that would be a difference there, and especially between the gripping force and a pushing force.
Yeah. That's Eric had just asked a question about that, Ryan. But yeah, it's also worth pointing out, as Nancy just mentioned, there's extraordinary variation when it comes to millipedes, right? So what there's a lot of cat invasion happening.
Yeah.
What is
that bartender from earlier?
I know, he's just like what is a typical millipede would be very difficult to decide on. So yeah.
Yeah.
So one cool thing about insect muscles is insect muscles. So our muscles attach to different spots on our bones, right? But because insect muscles attach to their exoskeleton, right, and they're pulling against their exoskeleton, they actually pull against these kind of folds that have come inside from the exoskeleton called apodemes. And so every muscle that has an attachment has an apodeme that it attaches to, or an area on the inside of the exoskeleton. And so the size, if you can find so I did my undergrad research on crayfish claws, right? So every crayfish and every crab has a claw, which is basically a fixed finger, right, that doesn't move, and then a movable finger that pulls against it, right? And that movable finger inside the palm of the claw has, and you know this if you've ever eaten blue crabs, right? I live in Maryland, I have been eating blue crabs. But inside that fixed finger, there's actually this like flat piece of very, very transparent, thin exoskeleton, and that's what the muscle attaches to. And I just mentioned this because the size of the apodeme directly correlates to the strength of that muscle. So there is actually, it's not a linear relationship. There, you do have to do some kind of math, kind of jiggery-pokery around to figure it out. But in general, you can actually figure out the strength of a single muscle contraction, and you can correlate that to the size of the apodeme. So you can look at a physical, you could dissect it out a millipede leg. You could figure out, in theory, some kind of calculations about the strength of it based on the size of the apodeme.
Very cool.
And so it's cool because that like relates to its function. Whereas like think of millipede's legs, like it is more about grip and walking on like vertical and sometimes upside down on horizontal surfaces. And so that's really what they'd be more concerned about than like a pushing sort of force. And so it relates like herbivorous insects, like you think of like usually the example of grasshopper, those apodemes are called the tentorium in the head. And those tentoria are there, and they have these really big pieces of their exoskeleton in their head because they have to have such strong mandibles to chew through usually pretty like silica-rich, tough leaf material to eat. And so that, compare that to something like a maggot that's eating something rotting that's already soupy, and they have basically just two little mandibles attached to just like their super squishy exoskeleton, and they just kind of like rasp it away, and there's barely any force being generated at all.
Yeah, they're even just called mouth hooks. Like,
Yeah, there's just hooks there.
So, and to plug my own Instagram, y'all should get, if anybody listening doesn't follow me on Instagram, I just put up a picture of a onion maggot, which if you look at it, you can see the mouth hooks on it. They're really doofy looking little vampire fangs. They're really adorable. I think you should go check out my adorable maggot post at Peter L. Coffee.
And all of the socials information, or at least the Twitter handles for everyone on the cast, as well as the Nature Check Twitter handle, is down in what we're calling the reference section. So down in the video description on the YouTubes, or down in the panels below the Twitch frame, or in the description of every podcast episode, so you can find all of us on social media and follow us for cool bug pics, or in my case, cool fieldwork pics more generally, and lots of other stuff, some complaining about grad school from at least 2 of us, and lots of other fun scientist chat. Thank you so much to the people who were in the chat tonight. We really appreciate having viewers and having your questions, and you guys were being hilarious, and I was getting distracted by a lot of the funny stuff you were typing, so I'm so glad that you were here watching with us. For everyone else out there who might be watching or listening to the recorded versions of this, thank you so much. We really appreciate you being here. And yeah, again, you'll be able to find us next time and into the future, so have a great evening and rest of your weekend, everyone, and we will see you later.
Bye.
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 Bye.